This ain't the end of me. This ain't the end of Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Rainbow Six Pro League. My name is Parker Intero Mackay. I'm joined by Michael Kickstar Stockley, and we are going to have a very interesting matchup for you today, as it is the NA Rainbow Six Invitational Qualifier Playoff Finals. If you can follow along with it, it is a mouthful.
Let's take a look at the schedule for the whole week. Right now we have North American finals, but later on we are going to have the Latin American semifinals, and then the next day, on Wednesday, we will have their grand finals, Thursday, European semifinals, and then Friday, the European grand finals. And then APAC all the while, Saturday and Sunday, will be qualifying off stream. I don't think we'll be covering that on this channel, are we?
Maybe on the channel, but we ourselves will not be doing it. That is correct. I know that we are, at least I know that
right.
I'm pretty certain while those APAC qualifiers are going on, Emzo and I will be on planes home, so
right.
we certainly will not be doing it.
But Europe is the one to note here is we're not quite there yet, but once we do get to Europe, both of the teams that win in the semifinals will be going to the Invitational, because Europe has 2 spots to qualify, so the finals from Europe will be less impactful. But today is the day that we are going to be doing right now. It's going to be North America ERA versus Team Reckless. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at I believe we have a schedule for the actual day of today. Again, just our bracket first, though, for North America.
So we'll take a look at what we've seen so far. Similar bracket to what we had yesterday, but all that really matters right now is what you're looking at on your screen, which is, of course, where we are at the moment. Now, we recapped exactly all 16 teams that competed in North America yesterday, but today, like we said, all you really need to know is that ERA and Reckless are going on today after Ronin Esports fell to ERA by a score of 2-0, and then Reckless prevailing over Vertical Gaming, both 2-0. So a little bit closer in terms of actual rounds, but none of them went to the tiebreaker as needed.
Yeah, it was definitely a pretty dominant performance from ERA. I think Ronin put up a fight, but ERA seemed to be just incredibly on point yesterday. Reckless, again, like you said, they weren't a little bit closer toe-to-toe with Vertical Gaming, but they still managed to win in that 2-0 fashion. Now, overall, the North American Invitational Qualifier playoffs have been kind of interesting. Through every single quarterfinal, we had a match that was a little bit different than what we were all expecting. But this is what it all builds up to. They'll take a look at the schedule now. Finally, for today, the one match that we'll be seeing played is going to be Reckless versus ERA, and that's going to be starting soon. Then we will have Latin America tomorrow.
A name I'm sure that I'm going to butcher, but Lanchanet versus MyP Esports, or MyP. They are the newest member of the LATAM Pro League, as they knocked Ince out in the relegations. And then BRK versus MOPA. Very interesting that that's their matchup, because the core roster of MOPA, 4 members of that team, were formerly on BRK. Now they are on a new team, and BRK picked up a variety of players from other teams, but still the org having representation. So those will be tomorrow, or tomorrow, depending on which country you live in.
Right, you are. Now, those are definitely going to be some exciting matches, but in the here and now, we do have 2 teams, Reckless and ERA, and I believe we'll be starting off with an interview for ERA. I think we have Super ready to go, and Tara will be taking that away whenever we're prepped.
Mr. 1.6 himself, we will be speaking with, and I can see, you can't see his face, but we can see his face, and smiling at the Mr. 1.6 comment, and chewing gum with his mouth open.
I'm going like this.
There you go. Thanks for closing your mouth, Super. So we'll bring that up in just a second for you. And we're going to ask him a couple of questions. I wanted to interview him yesterday when we had Ronin, because it would have been nice to do both Talon and him.
Sound issues.
We were plagued by some sound issues.
Yeah.
But that's okay. We figured it out today, and now there's going to be no problem whatsoever. And then once that's done, we should also be interviewing Fox A from Reckless 2, who had played on essentially what is the skeleton of ERA, back when they were known as Excellence. So
all right.
When it's up and ready, we'll go with that. I'm super excited for this matchup today. I actually have we say that we don't know what team is going to win, but this bracket has just been such a wild card. But interview is ready, so we'll throw it up on the screen there for you. Super will be joining us.
What's up?
How are you doing, Super?
Pretty good. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm sorry that we didn't get to interview each other yesterday. It was some hard-hitting questions I had prepared for you. So, but I'll start off by I guess right now saying that you were one of the newest members to join ERA, and the actual roster itself has seen quite an overhaul since Excellence competed at LAN in Year 2, Season 2. You added K9, you had Jane on Smile, you had Snake Nade very briefly, yourself, and now you've added Bosco. With all these changes made, have there been any changes in terms of roles and the way the team has played and or felt? And I know that that might be tough because you didn't play with them previously, but from your experience, at least so far this season.
Well, I know when Excellence made or LAN in season 2, I think Gurmy was like Mira and more of a flex player. Now he plays Ashe for us. Last season, Non played Ashe for us, and I think he played Smoke, and now Bosco plays Smoke, and Gurmy's playing Ashe. So we've swapped roles around a bit. Kind of took the whole ladder play basically to find the correct roles, but I think we seems like everyone's on the right roles, judging off of how our games have been going now.
And there's a lot of depth on that team as well, and I think that's something that we will see in the stats when we bring them up in just a moment. When you look at a team like Reckless, you haven't really played them a ton, I would imagine, largely because they came out of Challenger League, still are in Challenger League, you're in Pro League. How do you prepare yourself for a team that has been able to beat a lot of teams that I think people could rightly or wrongly say are better on paper than Reckless, but Reckless always manages to pull out that victory? How do you prepare for that?
We played them a few times over the course of the ladder, and I think we played them twice and won both games. And we've also scrimmed them a few times. So we have a pretty decent idea of what they can do. I will say, obviously, them beating Rogue was a huge upset and a big surprise to us. So that's kind of like an eye-opener in a way. Like, okay, maybe if we weren't taking these guys serious because they're like a challenger team or something, like maybe they've got a little more going on. And I've seen, judging from like games yesterday and what I heard from what happened in the Rogue match, some of their players seem to have drastically improved over the course of the ladder, which, makes this match interesting for me in that we might not be playing the same form of the team that we're used to seeing.
Okay. And we'll look at their stats as well, and there are definitely some standout performers on that team that I'd imagine shutting them down is probably going to be a priority. My last question for you is about you yourself, and you were, up until, I guess, the end of Pro League season last season, one of the newest members. You came largely from a competitive background, but not in Rainbow Six Siege itself, and have taken the scene not by storm, but you have batted well above, I think, what a lot of people thought you would. What's the experience been like for you to break into Pro League, and how does it differ from playing in another scenario, be it ranked, casual, scrims, matches with other teams, etc.?
Well, I was an Xbox Pro before PC, but on Xbox I played like Rook and Thatcher, and now I play like Fragger roles. So, I mean, for me, it's just getting accustomed to keyboard and mouse as opposed to using a controller. Outside of that, like, people considered me a rank star before I joined Pro League, and then I did pretty well my first season. So I'm not too worried. Like, it's not. I think it's overrated saying it's like a huge jump from rank to Pro League, because if you have an understanding of the game and if you're good enough, you'll make how you play work. So I don't think it's like, I don't know, people saying people are rank stars, to me is just an excuse of somebody who maybe is getting slapped around a little bit and ranked.
And that's choice words for people who toss that out. But with that said, thank you so much, Mr. 1.6, for joining us. Super good luck in your match today. We'll be watching it quite eagerly to see if you manage to punch your ticket to the Invitational.
Thanks, Parker. Don't say bad things about me, dude.
I won't.
All right, later.
Oh, it's always
fun.
Enjoyable to interview him and to roast and grill him as well. So roasting is a lot of fun. But we have the rosters up for you to take a look at the 5 individuals who are going to be playing for Arrow, which is the same 5 as before.
Gurmy, my man, Bosco, K9, and Super. Now we have the stats here, but I believe those are just for the one semi-final. They are not for the quarters or the round of 16, so keep that in mind. But as you could tell from the one match that was played yesterday, Bosco really stepping away. And we have a new stat up here on the board. Instead of headshot percentages, we have round survived represented by SRV. So again, those are this is a new stat that we're just going to be having here. 61% round for survival and a 3.4 KD, even if in just one match, is very impressive for Bosco. And you have to imagine that moving forward, if ERA can continue that momentum to today, they're going to have a good time.
Yeah, and I think, like I said, depth was the word for me. And that's, I think, what I'm going to look at the most for Arrow was in matchup number 1 that we saw against Ronan, it was Super and K9 who carried for their team. In the second matchup, it was Bosco and then Gurmy, who were the 2 top frags. Maman, as you can see, played well, has a good KD, but did what he needed to do, didn't take over the games like the others did. And that's something that I think really speaks to how well Era has done and will continue to focus on. And it's simply a matter of if they can continue to rotate who's playing well and make sure that the whole team doesn't go cold or that there's only one person carrying the way, then they will be A-okay. But with that said, it looks like we have a second interview with Foxe that'll be coming up in just a moment for you. Of course, from Reckless and formerly of the team Arrow when they were known as Excellence. We can bring up Davide Bucci when he's ready. And you'll get to see those eyebrows and that blonde hair yet again. And thankfully, he's turned on a light in his room, so we don't need to see any overexposure or darkness whatsoever. So when it's ready, we'll toss it up.
Yep.
But you look at those stats and how much Bosco took over that game. The second round, there's the second matchup on Cafe Dostoevsky, basically was like the Bosco show.
Well, there's a lot to be talked about for both of these teams when it comes to individual player performances and the standouts. Where you got Bosco on Era and on Reckless you have ZZ. I mean, and you have to wonder. We talked about this before in the past. You have to wonder how much potential there is to shut down just one person, but looks like we have an interview ready to go, so it's going to be Intero and Foxe.
So we'll bring him up here on the screen for you. Davide, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, Intero. How are you?
I am doing really, really well, and it's nice to finally get to interview you on here. Of course, we are great friends, so that makes me really happy. So first things first, I want to get out of the way, a story of revenge. This is your former team. You played one game with them last season before you left the team along with Snake Nade. Is that something that weighs on your mind as you get ready for this matchup?
No, not really. Clearly there was, after losing LAN, the team wanted to go and make like different choices and explore their options. So, I didn't take it personally. I was like, go for it. I decided to leave. I was probably going to get dropped anyway. They decided to make some changes. Clearly, they're in the finals against us now, so the changes worked. And I mean, the guys they picked up, Bosco and Super, I think they're both like great players. So I don't know. I'm excited to play against them and just see how we do.
And I mean, you come into this obviously with confidence. And if I ask you, how do you think you're going to do? Every team is going to say, oh, we think we're going to win. But what are the steps you take to prepare against them? Now, Super let us in on the fact that you played them twice in the ladder. Both times you were unfortunate losers in that situation. You lost both those contests. You have scrimmed them a number of times too. What are the changes you see that you had to make in order to guarantee that you'll have better results this time around?
I think something we realized throughout our process of getting there, especially playing against them, is with every team, we kind of pick up on the mistakes that we've made. And I'm sure every team does that. So, I'm sure they also memorize like things that we've done, like small keys, and we've memorized things that they've done. So we're just going to try and go based off of memorization and practice and I don't know, just pure individual skill with like some individual skill too. So yeah.
Wonderful. Well, I mean, good luck. I mean, we're going to wish that to every single team. My last question for you is just, you are the newest member of Reckless. You're back competing at a top level. It's good to have you back involved. And right now, of course, Reckless finished second in Challenger League last season, ideally expecting to finish top 2 again and potentially fight through relegations. How much of this ladder has been a focus on improving yourselves as a team for that Challenger League season, and how are you finding yourself with the team? Because Schlongy dropped off of Reckless, you came in to replace them. What's it been like with this core group of people? Because Soar, formerly known as Soar, rather, Reckless has been around for quite a while, and I'm curious as to know your thoughts on how you've gelled with the team and all that jazz.
I think something to have a good team is to not only be teammates, but to be friends. And I think something that we have is that we all kind of have fun and enjoy each other. We all have the same type of humor. So we trust each other. Like, calls are trusted. You know, if someone says something, is straight to the point, because we don't have to second guess someone's like intelligence or skill or something like that. And we all know we're good players. So it just feels like a comfortable and safe situation. You know, if someone wants to do something, they're free to speak. There's no like condescending remarks or anything. It's like a fun environment. And hopefully we can continue doing well throughout this season. You know, if we make land, hopefully we do well there and get into Pro League next season.
Well, best of luck, not just in today, but also in Challenger League next season. You being from Montreal, I imagine there's probably a high likelihood that regardless of what happens today, we'll probably still see you at the Invitational. But regardless, have a great time today. Best of luck in your matchup, and take care. Thank you for the questions.
You too.
Well, that was Foxe, and he had some great insights there on the team that he's just sort of new to as compared to the other players. And interesting that we managed to talk to the two newest players on both squads. But let's take a look at the roster now for Reckless. They've got Breezy, Foxe, Powerful, ZZ, and Goddess. Now, again, the standout performer that we're looking at, that everyone's really looking at, is ZZ. Yesterday, he played a wonderful match. And today, hopefully for the Reckless, they'll be going into this match just as hyped up, just as ready to frag out. He is, of course, the Ella main, so you really need to have somebody on that role. As much as we kind of degrade the role by saying, oh, it's Ella, you need to have somebody who can be on that role, who can capitalize on all of the potential fragging there.
Oh, absolutely. And ZZ is going to be the person to watch on this team. And when you take a look at the differences, the stark contrast between Reckless as well as Era had 5 members, all of whom performed pretty equally, with Bosco being the standout performer on that team. Here, you take a look, and it's not quite the same. So you have ZZ and Foxe at the moment, who are the 2 top performers statistically in the last 2 matchups. Now, we also want to caution people that this is just from yesterday's matches. So all it does is tell the story of the 2 maps that both teams played yesterday. And I feel that if they can somehow manage to cool off ZZ, it's going to be very difficult statistically for the rest of Reckless to carry that weight, and that's going to be something that they're going to have to try to do as a team. Yeah,
when we were talking about individual player performances, Bosco and ZZ, right? And if the thing is, though, if say both of them get shut down, obviously Bosco for Era, and then Reckless loses ZZ, but maybe they just both have a bad day. That's going to leave Era in just, I think, an objectively better position, because the team play we saw from them, regardless of Bosco's performance, was still really on point. So I think going into this match, Reckless has got to kind of stepped up their game from yesterday, and Era, on the other hand, they just need to remain consistent. They need to move forward and not have any changes from the previous day. Now, we do not have a ban phase for you today, but we do have the pick phase, so we can show you what maps were selected after the ban phase was played out with these 2 teams, and we'll be doing that just in a second. Reckless will be picking first. Era will be picking second.
And I'd very much, regardless of, I guess, how these teams do or which team wins, I want to see a 3rd map.
I think we'll see a 3rd map.
We were deprived of a 3rd map yesterday, and look at the quarterfinals. A lot of those were 2-0s.
Yeah, I think we're going to see a 3rd map. I mean, there's a lot of reasons why we're going to see a 3rd map, right? Because in these qualifiers, if whichever team loses here, they don't walk away with anything. Like, it's just, well, you didn't get it. You didn't get the spot. So, I mean, sure, you can take pride in the fact that you made it as far as you made it, and it'll definitely go down in public record, but it's not going to be the sort of thing that where you get, like, a slightly smaller prize pool, because there is no prize pool. You just get a slot at the Invitational if you win.
It's a feather in your cap, but there's no consolation prize.
So
if you don't win, that's it. You're the first loser, and that's all that you can walk home with. I mean, obviously, you'll have pride in that recognition, but for a team like Reckless, though, they also don't have an org. So if you look at Reckless, the expectations here are you're trying to prove that your status in Challenger League is hopefully past you and that you'll be able to advance to Pro League at some point. Now, Pro League is, of course, a slog. There's 8 teams, and you're going to have to battle against, 2 of them that might not have had the best season, but still.
And I mean, on the note of not having an org, you got to imagine right now with the Invitational looming that orgs are looking, and trying to be on point and giving your best performance. I think it's got to be really, really relevant in this state of the game. So Reckless, obviously, they're going to be gunning hard for this win, but so will Era. And I think it just comes down to if Era plays the same way today as they played yesterday, I expect them to take this. I think Reckless, they've been very surprising, and they are definitely a dark horse team. They're the sort of guys who will catch us off guard. But Era was just, they were playing like one of the top teams in all of North America yesterday. That was, it was so on point.
They looked like they were playing well above where I think a lot of people had expected them to. Not to slight Era by any stretch of the imagination, but Era also had a bit of a rougher start to the bracket, if I remember correctly, in the ladders. When the ladder started, I don't think they were playing as well as some of the other pro league teams, and well, I think there were people immediately saying, well, you know, is Era in trouble? Same with Ronin. Ronin did the same. They got off to a very slow start, but they were able to tighten it up, and Era ended up finishing, and what, I think Era was 5th.
Yeah, I think it was about 5th, something around there.
I believe Era was 5th
in that region. But I mean, on that note though, starting out the ladder rough, they did like we just heard. They lost to Reckless twice in the ladder, so they came a long way since then, and it was a very short period of time. It's not like that was a while ago. That was only a couple, like last week. So it's kind of surprising that they've been able to take such a huge shift in their gameplay in that small period of time, that tiny little gap.
Right. I have no doubt that Reckless will likely get picked up by an org if they make this. You know? And that's the thing. So
I imagine so as well.
I would imagine there's no way they won't, and then of course it would also be a boon for them because that org would stick around while they were in Challenger League and all that.
Right. Something really important that we forgot about. We talked about this yesterday actually, after the semifinals. Reckless and Era were scrim partners. Going into this, they were scrim partners. They played against each other. You remember we were talking to Goddess about this, I believe it was. And so these two teams, they know each other very well, and it's going to be interesting. There was a lot of I'm sure counterintelligence that's going to have to go on today specifically. There wasn't enough time. I don't think there was enough time since the semis and the finals yesterday to change either of these teams' strats around too much. So we're going to definitely see some counter stratting. We're going to definitely see probably some loose rounds with less strat intensive play, where maybe they're saying, all right, either team maybe says, all right, this isn't working. Let's just go ahead and play ranked mentality. Let's just go frag out. Let's do what we know we can do best and just get the kills and win the rounds. And that's going to make this really interesting, but also very heated, I think.
I think one of the things for Reckless is that they picked that name in part because that's how they can play. They play Reckless, and it is derisively referred to as a ranked strat or ranked style of play, which is what some people will say it. But I don't necessarily agree. It's looser. And when you play up against a team like Era, who
it's got a bit
yesterday, Era did a wonderful job of droning. And it was something that I had originally said. The very first round at Cafe, there was only a little bit of drone sequencing in that very first round. And then from that point on, there was one particular instance where Gurmy had 2 drone escorts to be able to pinch one of the roamers, and that was tremendous. And if they're able to do that and flush out Reckless, you can't really play that kind of reckless style when you're constantly being, put under surveillance by drones or by cams.
I just remember yesterday, Era, they were playing. Era, they were playing. They were playing so good with your drones, like you were saying, and there was a mute on the other team. And despite the mute jammers, still the drone game was incredibly efficient and managed to hunt down all of the roamers on Cafe inside of Piano. And that's a typical mute position. All the jammers everybody knows where they're supposed to go. The mute knows what he's doing. I mean, it wasn't like there were gaps left open. It was just Era found the smallest holes. So, like we were talking about earlier, if Era can continue that play into today, Reckless will be hard pressed to get the win. But again, given that these teams were scrim partners, usually 2 teams that scrim together a lot, they tend to balance out because you're practicing against each other constantly, and eventually it gets to the point where you're all on the same level because you're practicing as intensely as each other, right? Because you're scrimming each other. So you've got to imagine that hopefully that will play forward today, and like you said earlier, hopefully we'll see that third map. I also very much expect that to happen.
For me, the biggest thing, and I think Seth put it very, very well, Super put it here, is we have taken down the map picks for just a second, just to get some clarification on the maps themselves. I'll be back up in just a moment, so our apologies if, we're going to keep you entertained, and I'll be back up, or edutained, because it's educational entertainment. Big on edutainment.
In a way, yeah.
Big on edutainment. So it'll be back up in just a second. But for me, I think the one main takeaway what Super said was that you cannot discredit a team that has made it to the finals. Whether you like it or not, whether you think that they don't deserve their position, you don't just luck your way into being in the final 2 after a series of ladder matches and then a bracket itself. You don't get here based on luck. So clearly, to be able to vanquish the teams that they have along the way, Reckless has been playing a game that deserves and warrants our respect, as has ENTRE.
Yes.
But ENTRE doesn't really have as much to prove. They have players that have been to LAN, and the only member that's been to LAN from Reckless is Foxe, unironically with the team that he's now competing against. So it's just one of those things where you have to make sure that they play the level that they've played at to to win all these matches.
There's a bit of a stigma associated with ranked teams or challenger teams, and I think it's to do with the fact that in the past it's been the case that there's always been like a top team inside of the Pro League, and then even some of the Pro League teams they weren't maybe as competitive, and now it's just not that way anymore. It hasn't been that way for a while now, but that stigma still it lingers, and the negative light that sometimes more experienced, older pros cast on some of the newer up-and-coming pros, it can really be like a genuinely, maybe not the best thing to deal with, maybe not the best environment, but it persists still, despite the fact that, like you said, Reckless and ENTRE, they're the ones who made it to the finals. It wasn't what everyone was expecting, but I think at this point we need to address that it should be what you should expect. You should expect anything to be possible. This is Rainbow Six Siege. This is not a game that is super predictable. There's always a random X factor, and sometimes people cast that in a negative light. I happen to think that that's what one of the parts that makes Rainbow Six such a great esport. I happen to think that it's all about the amount of time you put in every single day, because the reality is that even despite all of your experience from the past, that doesn't play into the now. The meta is constantly evolving, constantly shifting, and you need to always be on your toes, developing your own team's meta and not get stuck in that past, because you're going to have situations like Reckless and ENTRE who've put themselves now here at the top of this qualifier, and the teams that maybe have the little bit the old aged experience, they didn't make it. So. Right. What we would call upsets, I don't think are really upsets if we take a step back.
I think, and especially North America as a region is one that I look at with a lot of uncertainty. In EU, there is a much more defined pecking order, I would say, of which teams are performing better than others, if I can say it in a diplomatic way. For Latin America, it's the same thing. I think there's very clear tiers in Latin America and APAC as well. But for when I look at North America, especially next season in North America, you've got to think that both EG and Elevate are going to likely be top contenders, even though Elevate did have a disappointing season in Year 2, Season 3. EG won and looked quite good. But then you've got everybody after that you're just wondering, well, Ronin made the Final Four.
Yeah.
ENTRE made the Final Four. Reckless could conceivably qualify depending on how it goes. Flipside, who went undefeated in the ladder matches themselves, had a disappointing elimination, in the quarters.
I think they were undefeated for the majority of it.
No, I'm pretty certain Flipside was. I could be
wrong.
They
might have finished undefeated.
I think they finished like 17-0 or 18-0.
Either way, it doesn't matter. They had an amazing performance in the ladder, like you said.
After almost being relegated, and are they going to be able to continue to do that well in Pro League next season? Are we going to see, the same inconsistency with the team? And then what is going on with Rogue, a team that went to LAN 2 seasons ago that has had a roster change that a lot of people expected to win this.
Yeah.
Not only did not make LAN disappointingly last season, but now didn't even make it to the Final Four. So
that's a big question on everyone's
There's a lot of questions
too.
in North America.
It's what is happening with Rogue? Everyone really wants to know, because like you said, they've seen the roster changes easily instead of King George now, and but at the same time they've been down and out for so long now. It seems like nobody actually knows what's going on in that camp. And of course, we didn't get to cast any of the we didn't get to see any of the Rogue matches through the qualifiers before they got eliminated. So we don't know. We didn't see their play, unfortunately. And now we have to wait till possibly the Invitational if they get a wild card, and maybe even longer if they don't. So it is an odd thing. The team that was considered widely, especially at the beginning, to be one of the top teams in NA, is seemingly now not really able to push forward and get the wins that they so desire. Because I know they still have the drive. They still really want those wins. I'm not sure if they're not playing as much practice, but who knows? We are just waiting on some clarification still, ladies and gentlemen, in case you're wondering about the actual maps that we're going to be playing. So we'll see. Maybe are we going to be getting a break at some point, or if we're just going to keep it on.
So we are being told that it is a best of 5.
Best of 5.
Which is what I had heard.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
I had heard that the finals are bests of 5. That's why, if you remember, at the very top of our scoreboard, it was the 3 because you need to win 3 of them. So it's going to be a best of 5. Our first matchup is going to be on Cafe Dostoevsky, and yeah, we're waiting to hear back if we're going to toss to a break or wait. The team is now both teams are now in the lobby, so all we need to do is wait to hear back. But just waiting to. Just waiting for a little bit of info regarding the map bans, and then we'll be good to go.
There was a little bit of confusion, likely because we took the shift from best of 3 to best of 5, something like that.
Yes.
But it'll be cleared up in due course. We just got to hold on until then. Now, Cafe is going to be our first map, so obviously a very linear map. There's not a whole lot to talk about there. I don't really feel like we need to delve too much into it. We saw a lot of play from Reckless. I think it was on the east windows the last time they went there, or it was possibly Era. But actually, both of them, I think. They do like to repel on those east windows, which is a nice... I think it's kind of making more proficient in the North American region right now. It's definitely what people are preferring because the top of red stairs is kind of fizzled out. I mean, everybody does that. It's to the point in which everyone has a counter strat for it. You can't really make it be an excellent strat anymore.
It's if we see the era that played on Cafe yesterday, it's going to be a handful for Reckless because
Certainly.
Ronin did not look like they had an answer whatsoever for the way that they were playing, and specifically how well Cafe Dostoevsky, if you don't have the ability to go for the run out or those cheeky plays, how well a Blackbeard such as Bosco can play. We are going to toss into the game, though. It is all ready. We are going to go to Russia. Cafe Dostoevsky is going to be map number 1, and this is the first best of 5 in NA Rainbow Six competitive history, I believe. I don't think we've done a best of 5 before, ever.
Well, not at least in ESL leagues that I know of.
There you are. So, for the very first time, we'll toss into the game in just a moment. Era versus Reckless. Era will start on defense, Reckless on attack. And here we are in round number 1.
So, yeah, here we go. Loading on operator selection, no surprises as per usual. Again, I don't really think this is possible to surprise anymore unless you're bringing a Lord Tachanka. And top floor defense from Era. We have actually seen a couple mixes on Cafe. Interestingly, we've seen a couple. I think yesterday we actually saw teams go to the middle floor rather than the top floor to start, but none of that's happening here. What I really like about the setup that it seems Era is going to be employing here is the holes that they make in that piano wall that face towards the cigar doorway into bar. Those holes I've actually seen such good use in the matches we've been seeing lately. The one thing they don't have is, of course, the castle barricade that they would typically put on the cigar doorway, which means that if they get too aggressive in pixel spot, which is where you see my man standing right now, then it's likely, or Gurmy right now, he's standing in pixel spot, then it's likely that you'll see the library lose control. But that shield actually might negate that. If you use the shield properly, you can avoid any angles from cigar, and instead, yeah, he's doing it right now. That's a perfect display. Thank you, Gurmy. I appreciate that.
Thanks for letting us know, Gurm. Good old Gurman.
Old Gurman Werman.
Old Gurman Werman. What a guy.
He is a guy, yeah.
It's confirmation there. Breezy running the Blackbeard. I won't be too surprised if we see a Blackbeard every single time, at least for the beginning. I mean,
he's so good on Cafe. You put him on a window.
Absolutely.
Especially those east windows.
Bosco is going to be somebody to watch as well. He's going to play Mira. He's a very good anchor, and that's one thing for Bosco is he also brings to the team a lot of experience. And being technically the newest member of Era, he has gone to LAN before. The only member of the team that is not a super, of course. So, but 1 minute in, and they begin their ascent towards the top of Cafe.
Not a lot has really transpired here. Now, typically, that's what we'll see on Cafe. Obviously, first minute is just the attackers getting themselves to the roof without dying to spawn beams, right? That's the whole priority. But they've actually pushed in a little bit faster than we're used to. Breezy has pushed his way into Cigar. He has taken a little bit of damage to his first rifle shield, but he has an alternative shield, so he should be fine. Bosco going to C4 onto the Blackbeard and not hit the C4, actually. Kind of surprised there. Breezy managing to just narrowly dodge away without taking any damage at all. Now, Zofia is going to be forcing out Pixel Spot using her ability. That's actually very good use of the Zofia concussions, forcing Bandit into the white hallway.
Man, just guarding that Mira inside of the bathroom. They've actually given up a lot of real estate right now to Reckless, but at the same time, Reckless isn't doing much with it, or hasn't, other than trying to get themselves into position. Breezy still has that rifle shield as he'll creep up towards Cocktail. And there's nobody inside of Freezer either, so take a look at this. Almost half of the upstairs map is completely in favor of Reckless. First kill is going to be Goddess, eliminating K9. That's the Hibana taking down the Yokai and the Echo with him. My man, a nice C4 onto ZZ. You lose your Twitch, but a Twitch drone is not really going to be employed at this late in the round. Gurmy is managing to try and get away. A second kill from Goddess as Gurmy trades that off. That MP5K, eliminating Breezy. You've lost your Jaeger and your Echo on defense, but Bosco manages to come in, goes for a double kill. Takes down Fox and can't stop the defuse. Goddess voluntarily stops before creeping in. And that's a third kill for her before Gurmy trades her off. And it's all up to Powerful. But Sam the man is there. And Era, after what looked to be a pretty good start for Reckless, Era is going to take round number 1.
I mean, you're supposed to win that top floor defense, but you're right. It did seem like Reckless had a lot of control, a lot more than I was expecting, and it's the opposite Era that from what we saw yesterday. Yesterday, Era was just running out all the time, everywhere. It seemed to be just their whole priority was just get aggressive on Ronin. And they've toned themselves down here for this match against Reckless, and that might be due to the fact that, again, these teams, they know each other very well. Again, scrim partners, Era might be just trying to do something completely different, and it makes a lot of sense, too, because the way Reckless was playing it, they were clearly, yes, they got into their positions quickly, but once they got into their positions, they just waited for the aggression they expected to come from Era, and it didn't, at least for the most part. Goddess did get one pick on because a defender was pushing, but other than that.
It was a nice 3K from her.
Yeah, it was. Certainly a good 3K. I think she's been having some really good matches throughout these qualifiers.
Yeah, she's empowered by the rest of her team, and we'll see if they fare as well on defense as Era did. Now, one of the big takeaways from me on that one was that even though they gave up a lot of control, they were still able to stick to the sites. And you basically had 5 people. They had no roam whatsoever. All 5 were on site.
That's what I'm saying. Is like, because yesterday, Era, they were roaming everywhere. They were peeking out everything. They wanted those kills on the outside of the map, and that's a totally justifiable strategy. And it worked for them against Ronin. And then total shift. Yeah. It's such a weird transition for them. But again, you got to imagine they expected Reckless to, well, expect the aggression. So
there's Foxay with probably the most grotesque combination of weapons.
I didn't see it.
He's running the UMP with a red dot sight and a long barrel.
Oh my gosh, Foxay. He's going to break the window as there is an Ash just on the other side, but not going to go for the C4E yet. Ash is certainly going to hear that heartbeat sensor, going to vault in fact, but lose the fight, get headshot by Foxay before Bosco can get that refrag. Blackbeard's DMR, a very powerful weapon, actually 2 shots a pulse to, I think, any part of the body at this current build of the game.
Yeah, it's lethal. And I know a lot of people do take the Scar on him because it's a good gun, but Blackbeard actually very fortunate to be equipped with 2 very proficient guns. And the DMR isn't seen an awful lot. DMRs in general are not seen an awful lot. So.
I think Blackbeard's DMR has been seeing, most people have been playing Blackbeard's DMR lately because it is very powerful right now. And Bosco has been actually having a great time with it in matches as of late. And as you see him push into the piano small bar, he's trying to challenge Goddess, who's playing inside of Pixel Spot, but she's a notoriously patient player, so it's likely she's either going to rotate into Whitehall or simply not do anything here. They have opened up the cabinet next to Goddess so she can play nice and tight in the corner. The flashbangs are coming out. Gotta be careful. My man gonna grenade himself. An excellent nade there is going to put the defense now in a one-man advantage. Last minute of the round, and Era has yet to establish any control, really, apart from top of red stairs.
That just could have been a pocket nade as well. I'm not entirely certain why, but I mean...
Whoopsie all the same.
A whoopsie all the same, indeed. The King Leo school for grenades and how to do other stuff. That is one of... King Leo actually announced his retirement yesterday, so happy trails to him, and it was a pleasure to be able to cast his matches. Regardless, 45 seconds left in this round. Only one down is Foxay, so we don't have to look at that hideous gun combination that he runs. Some smoke as Bosco is now going to be pushed out of Cigar, and they're going to try to hold. K9 up top, doing K9 things, just standing and waiting patiently himself before now looking like he's going to drop. And this is a couple times we saw this against Ronin yesterday. Era just almost stalling out, and there's still no real push here at the moment. But Breezy eliminates Super. Bosco takes down Powerful. That's Bosco's second kill of the round. He has both of them so far. Goddess needs to get pressured inside a Pixel. She'll see the Blackbeard come around. He doesn't have his shield up. A nice kill from Lauren onto Bosco. She'll go for a second, but K9 wins that fight. He's the only member of Era left. Just simply going to run out of time. A nice pre-fire from the smoke there will prevent him from picking up the diffuser. Even if he got it, wouldn't have mattered at all. Just out of time, Reckless ties it up.
So, you know what really stood out to me in that round? Goddess spent 2 minutes and 40 seconds in Pixel spot, just waiting it out, ready for the round to end. And that is the same strategy we have seen from both teams now. We have seen on the top floor the defense wait, just nothing but wait. And that's completely opposite from what we've seen from both of these teams, I think, in the past. So definitely a big shift, and again, obviously it's because they know each other. It's because they're like, okay, we're gonna do something different. We're gonna try and mix things up, but they're both mixing up in the same way. So it's kind of intriguing, really, that they can be so similar in that sense.
It's Goddess learning from K9 on how to be patient. We do have in front of us now, however, the maps that we will be playing on. So Cafe is going to be map number 1, Consulate number 2, Oregon number 3, Chalet number 4, and Border number 5. So that's how we're going to be playing them out. I'll repeat them in just a moment for all of you. It is, of course, a best of 5.
Cafe, Consulate, Chalet, or Oregon, Chalet, and Border.
Yes.
So, middle floor defense now on this first map of the best of 5. As there were 2 successful defenses, 1 from each team, we have to wonder if it's going to continue. The trend will continue downstairs. We've got a very typical setup here. We got the mirror. Just everything going in what we've seen from North America lately. I really like the murder holes that happen on the red hallway, denying that red stairs push almost single-handedly. People used to reinforce it, and then Barrage did a thermite strategy on red stairs. I remember they were losing really hard in a match. They did a thermite strategy, opened up that red stairs hallway, and they planted in cover of smoke, and the defense realized, everybody really, they realized, oh yeah, just open it up, and that strategy is effectively dead. So that's basically what everyone does now.
Round number 3 underway. Of interesting strategy from Reckless right now, taking an IQ and a Dokebi. Is this could be the first time we see Dokebi being used? Because I don't think we saw her at all yesterday, if I recall correctly. This could be the first time, and of course it's Foxe, surprise, surprise, being the one.
I want to say we saw her maybe once, but honestly, I can't recall the moment. So I think to play it safe, probably nah.
I think we only saw Vigil once. I think we saw Vigil once.
Yeah, no, we saw Vigil once, definitely. And he spawn peeked and died. And we didn't. I don't think we saw Dokebi or Dokebi. We did see Zofia, and we have been seeing a lot of Zofia lately, but clearly not going to be what Reckless is trying to bring here right now. They also, by the way, in this round, have spent half of it trying to get top 4 control and have not been successful in that regard yet. ZZ going to challenging onto the mirror window, but K9 from Cocktail is going to get the headshot. ZZ, again, one of the top fraggers for Reckless. You get him off the board, and that's a lot of bite that Reckless will lose. Still trying to get that piano control, and it's seeming a struggle here for Reckless. The attack playing out as you would expect, but the defense really putting up a heck of a line here in the sand.
One thing I'm going to be very curious to see is how they employ all those phone calls. You only get 2 of them, mind you. It looked like the first one just took place, and you can see it's very similar to last time around. Got a kill onto Bosco. That's eliminating the smoke. That is a crucial pick, especially with plenty of time to spare now. It's going to deprive the defenders of the opportunity to smoke off any of the entry points over the next 30 to 40 seconds. One mural will get popped as Powerful manages to take out K9 as he rotated, and he'll push down and try to now dislodge the Valkyrie of Gurmi inside of Reading Room. Out comes my man. They'll throw a frag at the wall, but I'm not entirely certain what Powerful was trying to do there. Breezy just misses him. Oh! But a beautiful shot. And down goes my man. He'll pressure in now on the Mira as Super is under fire from Goddess. She'll sprint in, and he's down and through the wall as Powerful finishes off Gurmi. A good team effort, and Reckless takes the lead. It was looking like the defense might continue doing what they did yesterday, which was having the defense win every single round, but no, already broken.
Excellent job from Reckless in the first 2 rounds in a row, first consecutive round, and a slight lead. Now, I believe this was Reckless's map pick. I want to say that it was Reckless and then Era who picked, and then Reckless and then Era, but I'm not 100% sure. We'll find out in just a second. Again, minor confusions when it came to that ban phase for this match, but
it happens.
It happens. It does. So as soon as we get the information, we'll let you know. But all the same, Reckless definitely seeming much more alive, I want to say, on that attack. I think they've realized that the main thing to take away from that round is they've realized that Era is not going to get aggressive. And that was what they were trying to play into the first round. Now they've taken a huge... They're like, okay, well then we'll be the ones to force out the fights.
Now let's talk about depth for a second here. At the moment, Goddess, I know round number 4 is just getting underway, and we're still in the early stages of the matchup, but Goddess is right now leading her team, so it's...
Very impressive play from her
impressive,
so far.
but ZZ has 0 kills. So
10 seconds remaining.
It's crazy when you think about it. The fact is that right now it's Reckless that has the depth, with ZZ underperforming, but in addition to that, Goddess doing better. Not that she did poorly yesterday, but doing better and now leading the team. So anyway, with that said, round number 4 going underway. And Foxy back on Pulse.
And he's just going to be playing downstairs, looking to gather information on the enemy, and he'll be doing just that. Now, Era is notorious on Cafe for altogether now rappelling up that same exact little piece of the north wall. They did it yesterday, and they're doing it again today, and I think Foxy may have watched that VOD, and now is just confirming the suspicions of Reckless as he goes for a reckless peek outside, eliminates Gurmy, and that's going to be already a man advantage. Good reading there from Foxy to use his pulse heartbeat sensor and expect that rappel up.
That was a really nice read, I gotta say. He had that window nice and primed and ready. Down goes Gurmy. It's a good player off from Era. And Ash, not in terms of utility, not integral to the strat likely, but that fragging potential is. Now, uncertain if Bosco has droned out Foxy. It sure looks like he has, and there was some explosives that were being considered. Foxy had that C4 primed and ready. My man will drop, and now Foxy could be a victim of a nice grenade. All it's going to manage to do is take out a friendly drone and make it even harder for them to gather that information. Foxy at the bottom of red stairs, just simply waiting, or rather on the second floor, as a Claymore gets set down from the Zosha.
And all the while, time just being wasted away here for the attack. Era's got to start making a nice push here in the top floor. And they have to remember, they're attacking the middle floor. So as soon as they get top floor control, they still have many layers of the defense to peel away. So they got to start doing that much faster. Goddess is going to be trying to fight this off with ZZ, I believe that is, on the top floor, and they're actually just going to fall back. That's the right call. Last minute of the round, there's no reason to linger any longer. You've done your job, even if you didn't have to fight anyone to do it, and just falling back is going to afford your team a lot more freedom in terms of what, like, for example, Foxy can do on these red stairs.
And ZZ gets a frag onto my man. That's now 2 members of Era off of the board as we get to the final bout of action in round number 4. And another, as ZZ takes the head off of Bosco. So Era looking listless at the moment. It's all up to Super and K9 to clutch, as every single member of Reckless is still around. And ZZ is going to use 2 of those remote gas grenades. 1 missed, creeps up inside of the smoke. ZZ with 3 kills. Beautiful proficiency on the Super, and it's all up to K9. And you can see the Pulse has managed to work his way through 2 separate Claymores, but sees the Thatcher, goes for the shot, can't make it work, and they'll just simply pull out their firearms and do it instead. Breezy comes in, cleans up K9, and Reckless now stringing together 3 rounds. They're up 3-1.
That was a bit of a Stewie 2K play there from ZZ, pushing into his own smokes, and that's honestly, we see that happen a lot on players who are playing smoke for longer periods of time. You realize, I basically got like a bubble that I can play inside of. No one else can, and it affords me so much freedom. And he certainly put a lot of emphasis on that. That's the roaming smoke right there too. It's something that a lot of players, especially like older pro players who've been around for a long time, will like say, oh, roaming smoke maybe not as, maybe not viable. You need to have them on the site to delay time. And even, I would agree with that too. That sentiment of, delay the last minute of the round using your smokes. Usually that's the most practical play. But if you can make it work for you upstairs, if you can make it work for you on a roam, and you can get those frags, and ZZ certainly did that. I think it was a 3K that round. Then heck yeah, go for it. And,
Heck yeah.
Yeah, and now Reckless in a commanding lead, it seems, as we have Super yet to get a kill, unfortunately, and Goddess still top fragging for her team, doing a great job.
It's Mr. Zero right now.
Mr. 1.6 is apparently playing as Mr. Zero for the moment.
Mr. Zero.
You promised you wouldn't say anything bad about him. He told you not to say anything bad, and you just it's too late now. It's too late, Taro.
I didn't say anything bad. I'm just speaking the truth.
Okay, objectively,
he is currently Mr.
Zero. Yeah. Okay, you can't argue that.
But what do they say? You can go from zero to hero. So
you know, the thing about this level of play is, for the most part, I don't think there's like 1 or 2 players maybe who don't deserve to be where they are. But in this, other than that, and in this match right now, there's nobody. Everybody has the ability to wake up at any moment. You know, not dropping a frag right now doesn't mean that you won't in the coming rounds. It's definitely it's a weird game too, where you have frags don't even mean that much sometimes, depending on your role. Sometimes all you really need to do is thermite open a wall. And we'll see if that's going to happen now at the top of Red Stairs. You can see Powerful laying down his Claymore before he is going to open up that wall into Piano, where you have my man on a mirror window trying to fight off this push. But he hasn't even had to do anything yet other than shoot a couple drones, because as you can see, Reckless playing this nice and slow. Nay going into Pixel, Breezy expecting someone to be playing behind the shield, and there is no one right now, but it will get that shield to deny the position at least. The rotation from Reckless, and we're hitting about the half round mark now, and still Era has not really had to fight anything off, just waited patiently.
I like the different strats of them running the mirror there instead of putting the mirror on the other wall, and then of course they've completely abandoned Pixel. I don't think it worked as effectively as they had hoped, especially with the fact that Zofia can obviously just blow it open. Now there is no Zofia this time around, but a frag grenade will go off, and there's nothing really there. A Claymore gets it down, and that was a very interesting strategy by ZZ. Not entirely certain why. It was very bold and brash, and there was no way for Goddess to be able to trade that one off, and basically just gave away a free kill. Gurmy gets a second from his team onto Powerful as Breezy takes down K9. You've lost once again. Your Echo is the first one that goes down. You're going to lose that Yokai. Breezy takes the head off as Super. He'll get pushed as well. Another kill from Breezy. They just fed themselves into him. Bosco, in the meantime, amidst the chaos, gets one himself. It's all up to Foxy and Breezy as Foxy takes down Bosco, and Gurman himself will have to clutch this round. 1v2. 45 seconds. Foxy getting the diffuser plant down, and they're just going to wait for him to try to retake the site. Always very difficult when on defense you have to retake the site and essentially act as a de facto attacker. And Foxy, a beautiful shot onto his former team captain, if I remember correctly, or rather Foxy was the team captain and Gurmy was one of his members, but regardless, it's now 4-1 Reckless, which dominating, but in keeping with the theme of this latter set of matches and this bracket, not really expected.
It's possible that Reckless is the kryptonite to Era. I mean, it's entirely possible. I'm not really sure if that's the case, but it seems like right now, at least, maybe it's because they've watched the match that Era played yesterday. Era did play on Cafe, and Era maybe didn't make enough changes since that match, and now Reckless is just like, oh yeah, they're doing what we expected, and it's working out for them. I'm not sure what's going on here for Era. I mean, I was expecting this to be much more close through every match. I was thinking overtime. But Era's now going to have to win 3 rounds to get that overtime, and they seem to be struggling right now. The middle fragger for Reckless and Foxy is equivalent to the top fragger of Era, and that is never good.
No. ZZ came alive. Breezy playing really, really well, and look at that Breezy, who was, if I remember correctly, statistically the worst performer on the team yesterday, is now competing with Goddess for top frag on that team. So, Awakening and Era has looked toothless on their pushes.
So Reckless actually won, again, Reckless won 2 ladder matches over Era. So, I mean, it could be, when we were talking about the qualifiers, I believe it could, the other way around, excuse me.
Era prevailed in both.
Era won 2 qualifiers over Reckless. And it could be that we've seen some major shifts since then, because it seems to be the exact opposite happening so far, at least. But, you know, in a best of 5, we're going to see, I don't think individual map preference is gonna matter too much, considering how many maps you have to. Of course, you have to win 3 out to get it. So it could just be Cafe. It honestly could just be Cafe.
But this was a map that they looked that Era in particular looked so good on yesterday, and now they look very human, very mortal. And Foxay's getting pinched. He's going to take a couple shots, and Gurmy comes in this time, and he will have his revenge.
This is the Era we know.
And this is the Era. They sprint right in. They droned him very, very heavily, and Breezy's going to go frag hunting here. He can't connect with that shotgun. He will expend one of his Toxic Babes in order to retreat, and he'll now try to rotate inside of the back bar stock room.
Just more delay here now from Reckless, as the hunting is definitely coming from Era, and this is what I wanted to see. Here comes that drone game again. We've talked about this so many times, and Gurmy is there to follow up. That we haven't seen it yet so far, and that's the first time, and I hope it continues for Era. That's definitely going to be what we're looking for. But all the same, they have wasted half of the round now. At least they got a kill in it, but that's still a lot of time. And they did manage to get ZZ, though, on Ella as well, and he's definitely one of the top performers for Reckless. Here comes the push again from the smoke. It's a different one this time, though. Breezy going to get the shotgun kill onto my man before falling downstairs, reinvigorating that roam underneath.
That was the same strat, though, right? You
different
pushed
person,
the smoke.
same strat.
Yeah, it was ZZ last time. This time ZZ, Breezy. Regardless, they made it look easy, if I may.
Beautiful.
Hitting the final minute mark of round 6. Gurmy disoriented and gets taken down by Goddess, who's also having a great round. Both her and Breezy, great game and a great round, will put us back at 3. Breezy low on health, but everybody on Era at the moment completely, fully healed. And they're going back on drones with 45 seconds left and still doing a little work trying to flush out Powerful, who is not in great shape and doesn't really have an escape path whatsoever. Breezy waiting to see who's repelled on Windows. Manages to try to go for a kill on the K9, but can't clean up. Now, K9, of course, no point indicators, might not necessarily know that he got a down there, but Breezy will need to be picked up at some point, or else he will essentially just be an immobile, or rather slowly mobile, drone.
He's not going to get picked up. In the last 18 seconds, it's a 2-on-3 as Bosco finishes off Powerful, and now a 1-on-3 as he also gets the downed kill onto Breezy. Goddess is going to get that headshot on Super, but the defuse plant has gone down, and in Cocktail, K9, all he needs to do is challenge that long angle with the advantage of his ACOG, will win the fight and the round for his team. Now, Era narrowly dodging an outright loss here and putting it now onto 4-2.
So that was, you said it, that was the Era that we've seen before. Aggressive, droning correctly. They pushed Foxay really fast. And the last time that we saw Reckless defend so well was because Foxay was able to continuously provide intel for the full almost 3 minutes. So because of this, you keep the pulse around. Not only do you still have that C4, you also have, of course, his fragging potential, but most importantly, that cardiac sensor is going to tell you where people are. You know where the push is coming from with that information, but you lost the pulse right away, and of course a pulse is very, very valuable in those final 30-45 seconds of a round, and they lost it within the first 40 seconds of the round.
Now here's the problem, and you see it as well. Era, while they just won that round, is going to have to win 2 more to get overtime, and on Cafe that can sometimes be a very daunting task.
I was hoping that Super got 1 kill so we could call him Mr. 1-6. He is currently Mr. 0-6.
Yeah, well, he's got 3 assists. He's actually leading the match for assists. So he's Mr. Assists, I guess?
You know what they say about assists? They're not kills.
10 seconds to go.
You're right. They're not.
They're not.
100% correct.
He's currently
maybe he did
now.
90.
He's snake bitten.
Maybe he downed all of those 3 assists. Maybe he got all the downs and his team just swiped him up, cleaned him up for him. It's possible. Hey, you know, it's possible.
I feel like he wouldn't appreciate it if I wasn't saying these things about him. But regardless, we're hoping at some point that he's going to be able to pick it up. But the rest of his team is going to need him to, because likely you have somebody at the moment who has not been able to contribute much on the scoreboard. Of course, we say time and time again that just because
they just have yet to wake up. That's all it is.
And it's not even that. It's, as you said, sometimes you don't need that fragging potential. Sometimes being able to get a defuse off. Sometimes being able to just use your utility correctly.
Droning for your teammates.
Droning for your teammate. Being able to, just survive and be there can be incredibly helpful. Now, it's even more helpful if he had kills as well, but sometimes it doesn't work out that way. Regardless, we are still on match point. Ooh. Reckless right now. Up 4-2, and It looked like Gurmy and Powerful were going to be in a tussle, but they don't end up seeing each other. Gurmy's been playing a lot at a reading room as Valkyrie. A nice place for her to be because you have full roam of that second floor. You have your cams potentially working on the third floor, and you have that C4 from below. And of course, in Cafe Dostoevsky, there's a lot of breakable floors. So.
Yeah, and Foxy is going to be all the way inside of Cigar. He's prepping a nade for the mirror window or Pixel spots, and it's not going to hit anything, but at least they know that Pixel is clear, as IQ, I think, is going to throw another one. No, that's smart. Not going to opt for another one. They're aware of the mirror window. They know they need to deal with it. The question is how. As they open up the wall into Piano, they are at least going to get a little bit more control, but they can't use it because of, yes, that mirror window you see my man playing on right this second. If they can deal with that, it will open up half of the top floor for them to work with, but it's very difficult to deal with that mirror window unless you've got a good combination of Thatcher and Hibana, or maybe a Twitch. But with the Bandit playing on it, he's just going to trick it. It's unlikely to happen for Hibana.
They're reaching a point where they're just going to have to start pushing. But Goddess just comes right in and starts to go for a plant, but Gurmy from below. And that's the power of that Valkyrie. Had the cam, had the intel, and then was able to get away with an easy Nitro cell that he just lobbed right up. That will stop the diffuser in its tracks. You didn't even need to reveal the position of your yokai either, so Echo is still just as valuable. Though Breezy is trying to find the Valkyrie and just waiting. Gurmy comes up and manages to down the IQ. Foxy, a double kill. A nice 2-round of headshots on the Bosco and Super. It is 3-on-2. The Yokai still doing its work. And Powerful and Foxy for Reckless. Last one's left. Powerful eliminates Gurmy as he tries to rotate up red stairs. And that leaves my man still inside of that bathroom with the Mira. And then K9, who's now holding long angle from Cocktail. They'll go for the plant. And they're going to try to push up. My man takes down Powerful, and it's all up to Foxy, as he will need to 1v2. He still has the Yokai at his disposal, and he'll have to try to take that Echo down, but he's just running out of time. K9's going to keep wandering, and the plant going down. K9's able to hear it, fires away, runs up, and he'll be able to get it quite easily. Era, a really nice hold. I gotta say, Foxy tried his best with that double kill and round burst. Powerful added to it, but just too much. And Era looking like a better team than we saw the first 4 rounds, and they've answered back, but we're still on match point.
There was, I think, honestly, that round came down to Reckless not trying to counter anything at all. They just tried to avoid all of the setup from Era, and I mean, that's not going to work for you, especially when the way you're trying to avoid it is by pushing into where there's a Yokai drone sitting, as well as the ability for my man on that Bandit from the mirror window of bathroom. He can come into Pixel spot at any time and use the hole that was put into the piano wall to kill you as you attempt to plant just where you're attempting to plant. Maybe if they'd come a little bit more forward with that diffuser, got us the first time around and dropped it maybe next to the bar, something different could have happened, but it's still unlikely. They needed to either deal with the mirror window or deal with the roamers, or both, but they didn't do either, and because of that, threw a wrench in the plans of their attack. Now, Era, despite still having a pretty askew scoreboard, they are going to be starting to crawl back their way into this match, and 1 round away from overtime. It's very possible at this point, but Reckless does get to defend the top floor. So this is going to be their best opportunity, obviously, to avoid that overtime, as their only opportunity. Goddess, I like the way that Reckless preps that corner, Pixel spot, for Goddess to play inside of it comfortably, like opening up or getting rid of the cabinet, so that, or I mean, maybe it's the bench. Either way, a lot more room to maneuver and can get nice and safe and snug. And last time Goddess played there, she didn't leave it for most of the round, so we'll hopefully maybe see that again.
She's not quite in the spot just yet, and waiting it takes about 30-40 seconds to be able to really get into the positions you need to start either dropping or anything like that, especially on Cafe with the repel speed and just the size of the building itself. This is obviously make or break for both teams at the moment. I have to suspect that if Era takes this round, they will probably prevail in OT2, so Reckless is going to need that extra breathing room. And you never want to give up or relinquish that momentum that you have. And they won 4 rounds in a row to go up 4-1, but Era has been able to, pull themselves back up, and we could be staring down OT.
I mean, they've only gotten 2 rounds in a row on Era's side of things, and that's what you would expect to see from Era. And we did see one round where they really woke up when they were hunting down those roamers, but since then it's been a little bit more of the same, and there's some more roamer hunting, but this time Gurmy just going to get it onto Foxay with no assistance from his teammates. The drones are elsewhere, so that's just good reactions from Gurmy all by his lonesome. Now he's challenging onto ZZ, the Valkyrie inside of Dining Table, and he's going to get that kill. Gurmy, an excellent roam hunt in this round, very well done, and 2 of the better players, or well, the top fraggers for Reckless right now, going to be biting the dust, or at least Foxay playing on Ella, and ZZ definitely a player to be reckoned with.
They're going to heavily drone out Goddess inside of the corner in Cigar Lounge. Pixel spot and find out where the Mira is, as well as the rest of the team. And hail, the gang's all here. They'll drop down from that hatch just over red. They're trying desperately to flush her out. It will burn the ADS very smartly. She takes some damage from the frag grenade before being able to move out of the way. And Bosco just shreds Breezy. Era, a reign of terror at the moment, but Goddess went for a pre-fire through the wall into Bosco, couldn't connect. Bosco takes down Powerful. It's all up to Goddess in a 1v5 ace clutch situation. She eliminates Gurmy, and the defuse plant going down with 40 seconds, but Super is there, and if I remember correctly, when they need him the most, I believe he gets his first kill, and it looked like his gun jammed there and just couldn't stop firing after the action. A little odd. Regardless, overtime.
Impact frags, Super. Impact frags. Good job there, and it is very important that he managed to get that. Now, Goddess is definitely a player who can clutch it out, so good job there. But overtime, we are going to have Reckless starting on defense. Now, they're going to see the advantage, I think, in this situation, starting on defense. But in the later end, or later half, I guess, of this map, it's actually been a bit of a shift. Obviously, we just saw 2 unsuccessful defenses from Reckless in a row on that top floor. So it's possible here this could actually favor Era slightly. I'm hoping that, or I'm expecting at least, that Reckless is going to be making some adjustments based on those last 2 rounds on that top floor. They have to see what the problems are and be able to fix them. Now, I think the main problem Reckless has had is their roamers have just been getting chewed up. Absolutely torn apart by Gurmy, just coming downstairs with the aid of his teammates on those drones and hunting them down without losing losing about half of his HP every time, but that doesn't matter. You're playing Ashe, that doesn't matter.
No, Foxay got pinched 2 of those rounds, and I don't think he was expecting Gurmy to be there. Unfortunate streak of luck if you're him. But Gurmy didn't even look like he was being droned out. He honestly just looked like he was sprinting in.
The Valkyrie was droned out from Train.
Right.
But the drone got destroyed. The call came out. Valkyrie inside of Dining. The Ella, on the other hand, yeah, the Ella, he had no idea about the Ella.
It's just circumstance.
It's just more impressive, too, because, I mean, it's Ella. Coming up from the stairs that close, you'd expect her to win the fight. But unfortunately, I think I can't recall. I want to say it was Foxay who was playing Ella in that situation. Unfortunately, just didn't get the shot. But now, Era attacking the same floor they've attacked now. This is the 3rd time in a row, I believe. And they're going to be on the roof, obviously. Cafe, they've spent the 30 seconds doing that. Now, I'm expecting the same exact attack to come from them that they've done so far every single time, because it's been working for them. But on the defense side of things, some minor adjustments. I want to say that is Foxay now. He's, instead of playing Ella, he's playing Bandit, and he's all the way inside of Piano by the Piano bar. Bandit tricking on that red stairs wall, which means if he can stall that out, that might be the little extra edge that is needed for Reckless to get these rounds. Not having an Ella, though, that's an interesting choice. We don't see that happen very often these days. Kind of surprised we don't see, like, instead of a Doc, an Ella or something along those lines, because, I mean, yeah, sure, the ACOG's good for challenging from Cocktail, but still, I mean, Ella.
They'll try to work away now, and some bandit tricking being done. Can he bandit trick as well as Talon can? Yes, he does. He manages to get 2 rounds of the X-Kairos. That will frustrate Era, no doubt. And Super only has 1 round of them left that could potentially be used, if needed, to clear out an ADS. But Goddess off the board, so if they manage to burn an ADS, they're all gone, as she won't be able to set down another. That was a nice kill from a man as he charged right in. And now Foxay under heavy pressure, but a smoke will go down and push my man back out. Foxay has been droned. You can see it through the window. He'll jump down. He'll try to go for Bosco and manages to miss most of his shots. Didn't really know where he was. And that's an easy kill for the Blackbeard to be able to clean up, and he will do so with his knife. ZZ now from above, shooting through the floor just next to Cocktail. He'll be able to get himself back up as he has one stim pistol shot left. I think they finally just found that there was a drone inside of bathroom as well. ZZ unable to land all of the shots on him, a man, but Breezy's smoke will do that trick instead. Now Powerful flushed out as his mirror gets eliminated. The last round of the X-Kairos did a great job, and Super tries to storm through that gas, and Breezy gets kill number 2, both of which with his Toxic Babes. Final 30 seconds, Diffuser is down, and smoke persists. Powerful gets onto Gurmy, and that's 3v2. It's just Bosco and K9 left. 2 of the most seasoned members of this team, both of whom have played on the largest stage, and they're going to have to clutch.
10 seconds to go.
Just inside a bar, a lot of patience. Breezy comes in, gets K9. Bosco eliminates Breezy, and that's a 1-for-1, but Powerful and ZZ just need to stand and wait. He is miles away from that diffuser, and not a chance at all. Reckless goes back to match point as they take the first round of overtime. Now, what was your takeaway there?
My takeaway from that round is very simple. Reckless did not roam nearly as much, and because of that, Era was unable to hunt down Rovers, get a man advantage, and thus when they made for the push to the site, they kept trading back and forth, and unfortunately they bit the dust. Also, there are a couple of mistakes made by Era. For example, waltzing into gas canisters. That is
Twice.
never... Well, the first one, the guy was down. It was Blackbeard. He got down by the dock, I think it was.
Sledged down by the dock, and then,
It was sledged down by the dock, yeah. So, the first one was a down player. But still, you know, walking into the smoke. What happened there with the Habana, by the way, if you're wondering, to that Habana's credit, he got stuck in a slow vault in the middle of the smoke. He was trying to vault from the little cabinet inside a cigar room. And, yeah, sometimes you get stuck in a slow vault. It's unfortunate, but that is actually what killed him. He must be angry about that. It does happen. Now, Era going to be defending the top floor, obviously, as this is their first defense in overtime. No surprises in the lineup for either team. We do have a Glass, so that actually is really interesting. I think the Glass is going to play really well for Reckless, considering the way that they have been addressing the attack lately. They don't hunt down the roamers. They don't deal with the mirror window inside of the bathroom. They don't do anything to try and deal with like how Era's holding. So instead, what Reckless needs to do is bring their own sort of structure, bring their own sort of attack strategy in that they're going to smoke this time. And hopefully that will work for them. Of course, they're still going to have to expect C4 from below, but it's possible that that won't matter if they get enough frags and man advantage early on in the round.
I'm very interested to see how that smoke play is going to go out.
Yeah, I mean, they've only got the 2, so they've got to be very well positioned. They have to obviously clear out the ADSs, or actually there are no ADSs. Era doesn't have a Jaeger, so they don't.
So they've already cleared them out.
Good job.
Good job.
Well done, Reckless. Well done. But they would have, but in this instance they don't. So they just have to make sure those smokes go in the right spot. And actually, interestingly, we've seen a couple players so far in this match get, I think, kind of messed up by the new physics of throwables, C4, smoke canisters, grenades and such, and it's they missed a couple, like that grenade we saw earlier inside of Piano. ZZ's going to get the first headshot on the Gurmy. That's the very first kill of this round, and now Reckless 1 inch away, it seems, from getting the first map win.
It's Gurmy being flushed out of reading as well, which is very important. That's where he was able to cause so much havoc before. My man's cover inside of the bathroom also, they have to bid adieu to that as it gets opened up. Now, one thing that Era has done very well is give them half of the top floor to deal with, but then managed to make it very difficult for them to take the second half. That's a lot easier amidst the cover of smoke. And Breezy, who was a great shot before, will get shot at from K9, and shot at yet again, this time from a man who has now gone back into the washroom by that mirror hatch as we hit the final bout of round number 2. Now, Breezy has lost a fair bit of his health. They'll try to flash him out, and my man gets completely blinded, and that's very easy for Breezy to just clean up on. He'll come out, gets hit by the Elamine, and is severely concussed, but ZZ eliminates K9, and it's all up to Super and Bosco, as this one looks like it's going to go for Reckless unless something major can come around. And this is the big plays they need, but Bosco tries to come back on the site. Super will now need to clutch, but Breezy's there, and Reckless takes game number 1 on Cafe Dostoevsky. And a pretty great start. They lost their momentum, but they found it when they needed it the most. And we'll go to Consulate for map number 2 with Reckless up. They take it 6-4. Look at that. Goddess top fragged. And I think ZZ actually had the least amount of kills on the team. I
have to get a lot of props to Foxay in that last round. Typically, flashbang isn't what you would use to address a mirror window, but he landed that flash perfectly from a decent distance. So that's very impressive from Foxay, allowing his teammate to get the mirror window, and that's what ultimately allowed Reckless to win that last attack round, is instead of just trying to push in without actually fighting Era at all, they addressed the problems, the mirror window, and they didn't need to worry about the roamers, and that allowed them to freely push in and get that plant after they had already dealt with all of those problems.
This is when Foxay managed to get 1 kill, and then there's a 1-for-1 as Bosco finished it up. I don't know if we're going to see the Foxay run out from Bakery. I hope so, because that was a very impressive show. Now, take a look. It was a similar strategy. My man's pocket grenade, of course, will be a highlight.
We were talking about grenade physics and how there are definitely a lot of players who have struggled with them, and that's just, I guess, a prime example. We actually saw a lot of that throughout this match, and we've seen a lot of it out throughout the qualifiers. It's something people are going to have to get used to. It did come out a while ago, but still.
Here we go. This to me was, I know it's pretty routine, but nonetheless, I think it really helped. It was a great read, and for Gurmy there, this one was good too from ZZ. Managed to get a pretty nice kill, and that SMG-11 doing its job effectively. And then Breezy just coming in as Ella. I like the way as well that Reckless was swapping roles out. Era seemed very static on their roles, which is okay because it does work. You have to trust the process. But for Reckless, they had different players playing different roles. ZZ, Breezy, and Foxay all played Ella at least 1 round in this matchup. I mean,
spread the love, right? If somebody's having a bad round or a bad match, then put them on something where it's hard to have a bad round or bad match, aka Ella. You know, there's nothing wrong with that. That's just smart play. If you want somebody to fulfill a specific purpose, oh yeah, of course this is going to be a highlight. At this moment, Foxay, he just knew.
Oh.
Thank you so much, Marav.
He had messed up.
I appreciate that. Yeah. And there's Bosco with the quick reactions, getting that knife kill. Very impressive. He definitely he's known for his reaction time. Well done.
He had a solid 3 seconds of Foxay plummeting to essentially his death.
We all make mistakes, Foxay. It's okay. I mean, I think I've done that one before. You know, when you vault out a window and he's just too far down to look all the way. You know,
I think he thought that. I think what had originally happened was Bosco had started to rappel up and then came back down.
Right.
And Foxay heard him rappel up, and then when he broke the window at that point, it was too late. But nonetheless, Consulate, a good performance from Reckless overall, and they're now only 2 maps away from being able to go to the Invitational as a competitor and not just as a spectator, which is, of course, something that all of these teams that entered from every single region is aspiring to do. For me, a couple things that Era needed to do. There were rounds where Era looked like they knew what they were doing. They were able to drone effectively and push in. And mostly that always involved pinching a roamer early. And when I say roamer early is that you can get a roamer with about a minute and a half off the clock and still be able to get that effective push. But they were getting roamer kills in the first 30 to 40 seconds. And that is very early. And that speaks also to the inefficiency of your roamers to do their job properly.
Yeah, and the rounds where Era just decided not to do that, or the rounds where we saw Reckless just not have a roam game at all, are the rounds that Reckless on defense managed to pull away with. And as well, Reckless, on the other hand, the main takeaway for me, for them, is that every round that they actually fought Era, they took those challenges, they managed to win. Now we're going to go into map number 2 of this best of 5. It's going to be Consulate. And I think this is a map that, similar to Cafe, will play for both of these teams. I don't think there's going to be any disparity between the skill gap because, I mean, it's Consulate. It's one of the most well-balanced maps in the game, right up there with maps like Border, one of the most played maps in the game. So likely to be a heated one, just like what we just saw. Because, I mean, we said good job to Reckless, but also Era, they played fantastic too. I mean, it did go all the way to 6-4 in the end.
Yeah, and we'd like to remind everybody that's just tuning in that this is a best of 5, and our matches are Cafe, which was just concluded. Reckless won that 6-4. Consulate is map number 2. we will definitely play Oregon, and Chalet and Border will be played if needed as maps 4 and 5. And we are going to hopefully have, we can tell you, I'd actually like to know which teams picked which maps.
Yeah, I would also love to know which teams picked which maps. Unfortunately, again, some minor confusion in the background, unfortunately, happens. But it is going to be a basement defense here for Reckless to start us off. And again, Consulate, one of the beauties of the map, every floor defensive. We have to say it at least once per map, or per every time we get here.
And ZZ going for a spawn peak, that is astonishing, and he might end up paying the price. It looked like they're well aware of it, and they're just watching those open windows. ZZ manages to light up my man and takes him down. Wow. Absolutely
nice,
incredible.
Nice down there. That's at least going to be some HP off of my man. And ZZ's looking for the kill. Unfortunately, he's not going to find it. But time being wasted for Era. Now, ZZ shouldn't stress the kill, I think, too much. K9's trying to bait it out, but I think that's the wrong call in this situation, too. But this challenge keeps on going on. Thermite is the one that you have to be careful about, especially considering you're attacking the basement. If K9 goes down, essentially all hope is lost for Era on their attack, because that'll mean that Reckless doesn't need to worry about the garage, which is one of the main points of contention for any attacking team.
You've just taken the IQ and the Thermite out of action for over a minute, which is substantial and is going to make the job of getting their strategy underway that much more difficult for Era. And it looked like Breezy actually jumped out front, and this is a pretty key. This is a key to success. I'd spoken with another team previously that was facing off against Era, and they said that what worked really well in scrims against Era was simply running out and going for spawn peaks. You don't typically see it at this level, but against Era, it proved to be quite effective. And that's something that Reckless could be picking up on, because not only is there, of course, the fact that you managed to get a kill right off the bat, or potentially a down, there's also a little bit of that tilt factor. If you make a team angry, then that can make all the difference as well. We'll hear the first exothermic charge go off as 1 minute 15 seconds remains on the clock, and every single member of Reckless is just waiting for Era to show up. Gurmy has lost a significant portion of his life as well, just over half, as has Maman. First kill's going to go to Maman, though, who gets picked up, and he gets his revenge on ZZ, and that's a nice, I guess, response, as he was downed earlier on by the Ela, and he'll finish him off. 45 seconds left in round number 1, and despite the health advantage, a numbers advantage in favor of Era. They have opened one of the panels. They will go for a second. Goddess is going to try to bandit trick, and she'll get it quite easily. She takes some significant damage, but is now denied that exothermic charge, and will have, for 30 seconds, only one of the garage panels left up for them to be able to push through. This makes it easier on the defense, as they can now know with greater certainty where the push is going to come from.
Last 16 seconds now, 4 on 5. Era has the control, but they aren't able to pressure the site very well, as Foxay from above is going to get a kill, but be traded back swiftly. 7 seconds now. The attack needs to start the plant, and they are doing just that, but no one's covering the planter. Bosco actually clutches out the kill onto Powerful, and the defenders will win the round, though, because of an unfortunate, I think that was a team kill, onto the planter. No, in fact, it was the Echo onto Pipes. So just a lack of aggression there from the attack, wasting out too much time in trying to establish that middle floor control. And because of that, it will be the defense taking away the win.
Now, if you want to know, Cafe, the map we just played, was Reckless's pick, so not too surprising that they've won that. On Consulate, this is Era's choice. So ideally, if you're Era, you want to play better than you did on Cafe, and there's probably a reason as to why. But there's a whole different set of strategy that comes in here, because it is a best of 5. You need to play 5 of the 9 maps, so you only get 4 bans, 2 each, and that sometimes means playing maps that you're not very good at just because you don't have the ability to ban 1 extra.
Right, you are. A huge trip up there in that last round from Era, I have to say. I mean, it wasn't just the time being wasted, there's the team kill, of course, but overall, there was a lack of coverage on the player planting by Black Car, and he was planting Black Car when they knew they hadn't dealt with the player inside of Pipes, the defender in Pipes. You can't really do that. I mean, and K9 displayed why. He just vaulted up on the Pipes, and there you go. It was not K9, rather. The Echo displayed why. He just vaulted up on the Pipes and got that free kill. It was Breezy. Thank you. Appreciate that. Now, top floor defense from Era instead of bottom floor. Again, a little bit of a change, but not too much. Actually, that's middle floor. That's not top floor. They often go middle for the first round. That's kind of an interesting... I mean, people can generally consider the middle floor to be the least played of all the sites, but it's still just as viable.
Yeah. They'll begin their assault here on Consulate as Goddess drones, and I am confused
as to what the LMG on powerful.
Why that is?
I mean,
there?
Capitao does 2 guns, right? One of them is trash, and the other one is trash. So, I mean, you can have 100 bullets instead of 30, right? I don't see why not.
Capitao could use some love. I'm going to imagine that this was likely picked as a means of destructibility.
Possibly.
You can use that enormous magazine and all of those, I guess those bullets to open up long-angled walls or walls from longer angles. And
yes,
super
and angles.
All right, super on yellow, posted up with his ADS in a very similar spot, makes him immune from a push as well as any potential funny business from the skylight above. And as is with most maps, in order to take the floor beneath it, you almost always have to take the floor up above. Bosco up top. First smoke is going to go off from the Ying, and a heavy bout of concussion. One Candela goes in. Bosco, though, not blind at the moment.
Looks like the Candela may have missed as Super gets a headshot onto Foxay. Things are starting to heat up here, and for the first time, it seems we're having major action for the last 20 seconds on this map. So good pushes coming out for Reckless, and they are going to come into Projector, but Breezy has been down. Powerful looking for the kill onto the connector player. My man gets eliminated, but still inside of Projector, Bosco manages to get a double kill. Meanwhile, Gurmy eliminating Goddess. So the last attacker is going to be ZZ on Reckless, and he is repelling over by the Spiral Skylight. Last 50 seconds. He's just going to try for repel in here. It's probably not going to be anything good for him as Bosco's hearing it and waits for the repel, gets the kill into ZZ, locks out that round. Good job to Bosco. He played very passive inside of Projector. It didn't look like at any moment Reckless actually knew that he was in there. He just kind of crouched or proned next to that Projector table and got ignored.
They were trying to flush him out, that's why they threw the Candelas, but
Right.
Maman was in connector and was able to get that kill as the Ying pushed in. Now, if Maman had not been able to clean up, and Breezy, I believe it was Breezy playing on the Ying, had been able to get that frag, then obviously everything begins to fall apart. But hey, at least we got to see a Capitao LMG kill.
It was cool, yeah.
He did.
He did get
neat.
that.
So
He almost got a second one because he had enough bullets, but unfortunately, I guess, again, he just didn't know that smoke was inside of Projectors, so didn't know to snap onto him. But he could have, if he knew.
could have.
There was just, I think, on that note, a little bit of a lackluster drone game from Reckless there in that round. They maybe got a little bit ahead of themselves with their push. They had control over admin very quickly and Princer, and that was all due to, yeah, great droning. But after that, they were starting to push into Projector, assuming it would be a free and easy point of control, and it certainly wasn't. Arrow really put their foot down.
Yeah, and who would have thought? I mean, it's the first floor of Consulate went from, I think, being less defensible to more and more defendable rather now. So we're in a position where we've seen teams do a pretty good job of defending it. So a couple Valk cams getting tossed out by Foxay at the end of the round here. And I think another thing, too, with Valkyrie is a lot of people imagined that she would be played next to none if Dokaibi was used a lot. And we really haven't seen much of Doke, truth be told. And because of that, Valk is still being played just as much as she was before.
Yeah, Valk is, I think, as essential on Consulate as IQ is because they complete each other really on this map, and that's why you're going to see a lot of IQ from both of these teams because all those outside cams give you so much information on Consulate. It's one of the few maps that you can throw cams outside and easily and effectively gather tons of information on the attack. To the point at which you can use 2 cams and get full 360-degree view on every corner of the map outside, if you throw them right. And they can also stay hidden because there's plenty of good spots to put them. Whereas on a map like Cafe, there's maybe not as many great spots to put them, even if you can get that same 360.
I don't think Breezy knows that certain death awaits him, rappelled onto the balcony just outside of the meeting room.
Yeah, there's no way he can win that fight because he's got a shotgun in the pillars.
Yeah. And there's going to be another flash now here. Now Breezy definitely knows somebody is out there, but he just keeps pre-firing with that shotgun, hoping for the best. The smoke is somehow hitting Bosco, and I'm not entirely certain how it was able to get there that far, but
Smoke goes through walls.
regardless, Bosco took some significant damage there and had to rappel down. Right now, Reckless is in really good position as they are managing to keep all of the attackers at bay.
Right, you are. Era now only a minute left. They're looking for their opportunities. They are going to actually use their drones here on this on the push into the site. But ZZ's going to try and deny some of those Habanas from afar and actually be successful in doing so, allowing the A site player to stay alive a little bit longer. But Breezy will, looks like, choose instead to vault onto Bosco, or just, nope, he was just playing deep inside of A. And he will be eliminated. Good job, Bosco, there on that A balcony playing Blackbeard. Last 50 seconds now, 4-on-5 advantage attack.
Still just waiting. Bosco's going to get a second kill as Man gets taken down by ZZ. That is a team trade as Goddess gets eliminated too. That was the Jaeger that got taken down. Easy Powerful is going to sustain some damage. Bosco has looked so good both yesterday and today. And ZZ comes in, he cleans up Super. Bosco a third kill onto ZZ. And there's only 2 members left. Powerful is down. It's all Foxay, but Foxay gets taken out by the Claymore of Super. And Bosco a fourth as he downed Powerful, but didn't need to clean up. And it's now Era who has taken the lead. They are up 2-1.
So there you go. I mean, this is playing as I think a lot of us expected it to. Given that this is Era's map pick, I think it might have just been map preference that allowed Reckless to get that win on Cafe. And if we're looking at it like that, if we're looking at it like Cafe was map preference and it ended 6-4, then you got to imagine Era's got a lot left in their tank here. Now, console office meeting room, that's going to be the top floor from Era as they went to the middle floor first. So they have all the options. Except for, of course, middle floor. But, I mean, I think in the conventional standards, that's like the more typical options. So they can go anywhere nice and comfortable. They're going to choose the top floor. Now, they don't have a castle. We did see castle played from Reckless in that last defense upstairs to try and deny some angles and which allowed Reckless to play inside a big desk. You could see here, Bosco, same as yesterday, he's having a really good time. He's having a real good time.
I feel like he just said to himself, there's no way I'm not going to be at the Invitational.
I think that's probably right, honestly. Bosco, he's got a lot of experience. He's been around for a good amount. I mean, he's been here since, I think, the beginning of Siege, technically. But, yeah, he's had a mixed past, but he's an old player and very experienced, and he's showing that right now. That still is definitely going to be to his advantage, as look at just so many kills.
And it was,
I mean, so we talked about how like kills aren't the end all be all. They're not everything. But if you can get them in such abundance, you put your team in a comfortable spot to be able to win every round.
The other thing, too, about Era, like it said about depth, was that even if Bosco gets eliminated, the rest of the team is still there to pick up the slack. They're more than capable of getting the kills when needed. Now, I like that they have Glaz being repelled up the typical spot where you would see a Blackbeard. That'll give you that nice long engagement through B, and then, of course, connector inside of the projector room, which is called meeting, I suppose, technically, or meeting office or meeting room.
Well, there's a projector.
There's a projector in it. They see the Valkyrie cam, and will now look and try to open up those walls. Glaz's DMR is, of course, very good at doing that, opening up large patches where they can see through.
Yeah, 1 minute now has transpired, and Reckless looking like they're setting up for that B take. They haven't really gotten anything done yet other than force off a little bit of pressure onto Yellow. And the fact, again, that there's no castle here is going to be hurting the defense somewhat in that they can't maneuver nearly as much. However, you got to question if castle would have been useful, given that it probably wouldn't have been hard with this lineup on Reckless to... It would have been very long for them to open up those castle barricades. So, one inside of B, I want to say, that's the Echo. He's going to be playing aggressive onto the Glaz, damage him a little bit, but also take one Glaz shot in return, dropping both of them down to half HP. Ultimately, though, the defense is favored in the situation, given that the stall out is successful. Here come the Capitao Firebolts, and likely smokes to follow them up soon or later for an attempted plant. I like the way Powerful's doing this. He might actually be able to get Echo, but he chooses the wrong corner.
just as the glass tries to come in, he gets gunned down from Bosco, who gets kill number 9, and still inside of that closet is the Echo of K9. Now, he has very little health left, and what is left of him will be taken off the board as Fox gets a frag, and the first one for Reckless this round. Some smokes to prevent Era from being able to push in, but my man sprints in and 2 kills. That smoke might choke him off as Gurmy joins in on the action and leaves ZZ with 35 seconds to get upstairs. But no, outside will run Super, and ZZ doesn't have really time. And oh, those are some party points right there. He manages to get that Claymore and then even
dodged the other one by walking over it.
Interesting.
It
actually looked like both Claymores were still up.
Yeah, actually, you're right. The one on the window. He didn't get the one on the window. So. I guess he must have just had some happy feet there and managed to jump over them very narrowly. It kind of looked like the window Claymore was placed with a little gap next to the wall.
Could have been.
So that he probably hovered on that. And then the one that was placed underneath the little ledge there, you can as a 3-speed, you can project yourself far enough that you can go over that. And
yes.
He came over where the laser started. So obviously the smallest part of the arc. But whatever, yeah, he managed to dodge 2 Claymores narrowly and get that final kill. And overall, a good defense from Era. The main takeaway, of course, is they got the glass, which means the smokes didn't really work for the attack, nor were there very many smokes utilized. The Capital bolts didn't get used, the smoke ones, that is. And not a lot of disruption coming out from Reckless when they made the actual push. And then on top of that, just the Ella waltzing into B, tearing everybody apart as they came in. It's hard to deal with that.
10 seconds remaining.
Yeah, it was a bad read inside a closet to force K9 out, but regardless, my man was able to get on site quick enough to repel the 2 that pushed inside. Bosco still inside a projector with somebody that you need to be able to get him out of there before you can really have your push happen, because it's been Bosco who's been, you know, the main focal point for Era, and it's something that Reckless might need to take heed of and be a bit more effective on. Regardless, now Era goes to attack. They are up 3-1. And just doing some Valkyrie cam work, and we're going to see if these Claymores being put down work better than previously, as they are desperately trying to find the Valkyrie camera that was likely thrown outside. But
they do have
no
an IQ,
Valk.
So
they don't have a Valk on defense.
Yeah,
so, I mean,
they do have an IQ, so eventually they're going to figure out that there isn't anything out there. But I mean, they're going to keep looking until they are 100% sure, and that's honestly fair. Because we are talking about Consulate right now, and they're not omniscient. They don't know that there's no Valk yet, of course, so eventually they'll figure that out. Team Reckless, though, playing downstairs. This is the site they picked first. They were successful here because Era wasted a ton of time. So hopefully for Reckless, they'll be able to stall out just like they did last time.
Arguably a round that Era really should have won. It was just simply the way that the fact that Breezy as the Echo was played up on pipes in a way to stop that plant.
I mean, it's such a common angle, though. It's really it falls on Era to not deny that angle, to not deal with that player before pushing. Meanwhile, upstairs, Gurmy going to eliminate ZZ. So Foxy now going to be the lone roamer upstairs, and Super's going to get Breezy in the back halls downstairs. Powerful refragging, though it is advantage in favor of Era still. Ooh, here we go. Goddess is going to even things out. A nice fight there. Usually you see that go the other way, but Goddess is going to force it out, trying to hold onto this garage wall. Finally, the Thermite in K9 will open up panel 3 and then later panel 1. He's going for full exposure on this defense.
Just what they tried to do last time, but they got bandit tricked, and that was part of, I think, the biggest issue that they had was they couldn't attack from both those angles, and even though they did have somebody on yellow to cover it, as you saw, they were able to move somebody to yellow just a couple seconds ago, which is what really prevented Goddess from being able to get to the site. My man eliminates Foxay, and now 3v2. It's all up to Powerful and Goddess to close this round out, or else they'll be facing match point, and they'll get an anchor in on site. Plant going down, C4 is going to get primed. Goddess comes up onto my man, and they manage to miss the plant, but that is okay. K9 takes down Goddess, and they're going to try again. It's all up to Powerful. Bosco will be there with his rifle shield to cover. He manages to get out of the way, and that's a very smart move, but Bosco just plays the angles. Powerful had nowhere to go, and that Blackbeard in that position is going to be so difficult for him to be able to chew through.
It would have had to been a huge choke from Bosco to lose that fight. I mean, you got a 3 armor. No way Mira's going to get out of the corner safe by trying to dodge to left. You know, if you were Bandit, maybe you could have made that happen, but not as Mira. The DMR, again, that's going to like two-shot you in that situation. There's no way you're going to be able to escape from that corner. You can't break through the shield in time. So Bosco would have had to whiff. He didn't, and now we have match point already here on the second map of this best of 5. Era seeming very confident here. Now, thing is, we did have match point in the exact same fashion on the opposite team on Cafe, and then suddenly out of nowhere, Era started their comeback and stalled it out a little bit more. But I don't know. It seems right now like Era is completely dominant. Like, this is unquestionable Era round. So I'm not sure.
We're on match point, and Bosco has not died.
Bosco hasn't died a single time. So for those of you who didn't know, the stats going into this match, the stats going in here, Bosco's kill-death ratio was 3.4 from just, of course, one match, but 3.4 all the same. His round survival rate was 61%. That is the highest percent I have seen in a long time.
It's 100% right now.
He's 100% right now. So obviously moving forward, it's going to be much, much higher. But overall, yeah, Bosco's been having a really good qualifier.
Yeah, unquestionably playing better than any other member on his team. He played extremely well on Cafe, and now here too. Last night he tweeted that I guess he's the Blackbeard main now, and well, you can see with very good reason. Just as formidable on defense too. The rest of his team is a very good supporting cast that's allowing him the opportunity to play this way. And take a look, they're going to go onto the main floor, which a lot of teams aren't prepared for, and that threw a major curve in the plans of Reckless last time. And yikes, they're going to have to deal with it again, but this time on match point, and Era hoping to even the series out, as right now they are currently trailing Reckless 1 map number 1.
So last time we saw this happen, Reckless got a little ahead of themselves, didn't drone out Projector. Now they're going to be faced with, well, Projector, but they have a lot of time. Hopefully they will use it. They didn't manage to get Bosco. He just kind of lingered inside of Projector and stalled out quite a lot. It's looking like it might happen again as Reckless is just, again, lingering outside of Projector. They are waiting for their opportunity, and Bosco is going to deny them said opportunity by eliminating ZZ on the Projector balcony, getting a nice kill into Spreezy, who had been down by Maman or the Smokes. Either way, a good kill, and another kill onto Zofia as he peeks around, gets out Foxay, gets a little ahead of himself, goes for Goddess, and loses his life, but honestly, when you got those kills, you can say that dying in that situation is perfectly all right. Bosco gonna die for the first time ever here on Consulate with 13 kills, having only played 6 rounds.
Absolutely insane round, an insane game for him so far. But Powerful gets the best of a man. Both he and Goddess very low on health and facing a deficit of numbers by 1. It is a 2v3 that favors Era at the moment. Diffuser being held by the Thermite. You've still got Yokai and the Echo up, right? You then also have a Valkyrie and a Jaeger to have to contend with. And they've finally taken control of that 3rd floor, but will need to now make their way to the main floor with only 40 seconds left. It's going to be a tall task. And Powerful getting the cameras, so at least their location is known to the defense as he primes a grenade. And look at where the Jaeger is.
Oh, no.
Odd throwing mechanics there. He's going to try a second time. He makes it work this time, but no, physics not favoring him at all. Powerful will dive down and try to go for the Jaeger, who has very smartly ran away, and that is super getting as far as possible. Goddess now gets down. That's Diffuser off, and it's all up to Powerful. He'll take Gurmy, but he's still got 2 more. Looks inside of the bathroom. Nobody there. Diffuser miles away. This will be relatively easy as K9 finishes it off. And that is Era taking it in what was a very commanding performance. Always nice to see, and that is the that's the Era that we saw yesterday, and especially the Bosco, who
is absolutely dominant.
Dominant.
Yep. I mean, I'm guessing what happened on Cafe was, again, it was just Reckless was comfortable on that map. More importantly, they counter-stratted Era from yesterday because, again, there was such a new and fresh VOD. Only a couple hours ago was that match played where Era was on Cafe. So they had a lot to study and they had a lot to go on. Now on console, it's a little bit of a different story. I believe I don't think they've played it in a while, at least not on stream. So let's take a look at the highlights from that match while we continue to talk about it. But now that ENTRE has managed to get out from under that counter-stratting shadow, and they've got onto a map that they're comfortable on personally, they are, yeah, again, like yesterday's ENTRE, and very dominant indeed.
And a good performance. I mean, Reckless won that first round. I think there could have been some major differences here, but I mean, when you're in that situation, there's no way as Mira you're going to be able to get that. This was Bosco just getting too far ahead of themselves. Rushes up, and a good shot from Powerful onto Gurmy, but just it wasn't enough, and it was too little too late. Now we have Oregon as map number 3. It looks like teams are in the lobby just waiting to switch sides, and then from there we'll go. Now when you look at Oregon, you suspected that Consulate would play the same as Cafe would, or at least similar.
Well, I suspected that it would be an even match. I was wrong. It was not an even match. Consulate, a map that, again, a lot of people are comfortable on. It's the same thing with Oregon. Lots of people, everybody in the competitive scene of Siege has to be comfortable with certain set of maps. Cafe, Consulate, and Oregon, these are those maps. Border, right? But clearly it was just clearly it was the case that ENTRE was just much more proficient there. And on Oregon, I would want to say going into it the same thing. If I'm just taking a step back, I would go and say the same thing. It's a map that everyone should be comfortable on, but it's going to favor the team that practiced it more recently and is just personally comfortable with it. Because I mean, I know that a lot of the time certain maps can favor teams just because of the personal preference of the players on the teams, less the strategy, less the work put in. So who knows? Maybe that's why we saw such a dominant performance from ENTRE and such a lackluster one from Reckless on this last map.
Yeah, and Oregon is going to be one that your roam game is going to be very important to a point, especially when you're defending that basement. How much time are you able to eat up inside a meeting hall? Can you deny a couple Hibana, ex-Kairos sets from taking care of the hatches? Because that is going to help your team in the long run. And when you look at that, the roam game for Reckless has not been great so far today.
No. I mean, I don't know if it's the roam game that hasn't been great. I think you're right. It hasn't. It hasn't done anything, really. I think it comes down to ENTRE's hunting of that roam game, though.
Right.
Because, again, we talked about it on the first map, Cafe. There were rounds that Reckless won out because ENTRE just didn't hunt the roamers. They didn't. They ignored them. And that allowed those roamers to either come from behind, C4 from below, or just reinforce the anchors later into the round. But as soon as ENTRE started doing what they were doing yesterday and hunted them down, well, Reckless struggled, and they didn't have an answer for it. So I think you're right. I think it's going to play a lot into the roam game. Absolutely correct. And on Oregon, it's a map that it's not Chalet. You don't have to have a roam game, but it can help your team a ton if you do. And I think both of these teams are going to try for that. Maybe not in the earlier rounds, maybe towards the later rounds, but they're going to try for it at some point. I mean, on Cafe, when the two teams were still trying to figure each other out, they didn't really get any aggressive at all on defense. They were just waiting in the site. Both of them, both teams. So, and they started to develop their play style as things went on. So, one thing we can say about both Reckless and ENTRE is that they are mid-match development focused teams, and I like that about them.
Yeah, both aggressive, both chocked full of people who are capable of eliminating the enemy, aka fraggers. And as we get ready, we're just going to load into Oregon in just a moment or so. Both teams are ready, and then from there we can start up our third map. Now, this is Reckless's map choice as well. So it'll be interesting to see if they're able to do better, because it did look like a comfort issue.
Yeah.
ENTRE looked like they knew exactly what they were doing on Consulate, and on Oregon, with it being Reckless's pick, Oregon, as you said, is one of those maps where you're going to know how to play it quite effectively. It is the most played map, and we're going to continue to add to those stats as we're going to play it again, and we'll load into Oregon map number 3 and match number 3 between Reckless and ENTRE. It's all tied up at 1 apiece here in the NA Rainbow Six Invitational Playoff Finals.
Reckless on attack, ENTRE on defense. Kids Dorms going to be the first hold here for ENTRE. Going upstairs, that's a bold choice. Usually I find that one of two things happens when it comes to Oregon picking. You go top floor because you're confident, or you go bottom floor because you want to anchor up and play it safe.
Right.
And I think that's just, again, that's highlighting the confidence of ENTRE. They obviously have got to be still surfing on that high after winning 5-1 on Consulate just a couple moments prior.
It was a slaughter.
It absolutely
It was not, and that arguably could have been a 5-0 because that first round as well. So I mean,
it was just too much time wasted. That they could have, yeah, like you said, it was Air's round.
Absolutely.
Now, set up on the bomb site upstairs, it seems like it's going to be a focus on kitchen. As you can see, mirror windows going down there, and the nobody inside sight right now. Of course, that will change once the prep phase is over, but what that tells us is that Era is going to put a lot of focus on their roamers, as that's where the reinforcements are going. They're going to be trying to hold tower, they're going to try and hold kitchen, they're probably even going to try and hold over by the lockers area. Who knows? But it seems to be just roamers, roamers, roamers. I like this camera Gurmy's putting out here. We've seen it a couple times. It usually gets overlooked. Most people know about it, but it still manages to get overlooked because you don't think about a drone or a camera in a drone hole.
Right. And so you could do that. I've seen people do do a camera in coastline in that one drone hole as well.
Attackers have located a bomb.
It's very bizarre that we see a red dot sight on Ying's LMG. Usually you'd see an ACOG or maybe even like a hollow on it, but regardless. Ying is going to be good on this site. Now, it also looks like, with what they took, it's a team composition that will work well on both sides.
Right. No, it definitely is. They wanted to be able to smoke strat by bringing that Ying, but at the same time, they didn't want to gift themselves by having too many smoke-oriented operators such as Glaz. I mean, Glaz could be useful here, but ultimately you're relegating yourself to pushing into west window at that point, and that's very dangerous. Instead, Reckless is going to be focusing on, with the smokes they do have, are going to be focusing on a master closet take. Much more standardized, and I think it'll probably work out for them. Now, they haven't dealt with the Valkyrie, I believe that is, inside of Armory, so that could be dangerous in the later half of this round as we get there, but they are going to be conscious of her at least. These Candela's not likely to hit their target, but as Valkyrie peaks, they might just... No, Gurmy's going to dodge them. K9's going to get a kill into Fox 8. Breezy gets a refrag onto Gurmy, and it's a nice even.
And that's one of those things where it's, even though he ducked into the corner Blair Witch Project style.
Yeah.
But was looking the wrong way. It doesn't really matter because the Ying was there to capitalize. And even though the DPS on the LMG of the Ying is not particularly high, he's still able to land those frags, or land those kills and get the frag. Now you can see Bosco gets moved from White Stairs, and Powerful just can't be able to get him as he's jiggling around that corner. Powerful's going to try to light him up, but can't. Those Candelas allow them to push in effectively. And the Ying manages to miss every single shot. Very peculiar. Goddess eliminates K9, but Bosco refrags, and Bosco continues doing well as ZZ eliminates him. So we're 2-2. The SAS operators are the two left, but my man now coming back to site is able to take one down before being traded off. Literally just back and forth and back and forth. It is Mr. 1.6 himself against ZZ. The defuse plant going down against that wall. Super rushes in, and ZZ manages to do it, and this is another first round win for Reckless. They're up 1-0.
Now, it was a first round win, but will it be enough to break the momentum? Only time will tell.
Yeah.
Era on that round. So Bosco, he did a great job at the top of White Stairs, but he got a little ahead of himself. And what we saw from him was he ran into the main hallway, exposing himself completely to the west window and not accounting for that angle. That right there is overconfidence. Now, confidence is good, but when you make those pushes that you don't necessarily need to, it can really hurt your team. The main thing to take, again, 2 versus 5 in top floor defense. If you've got someone at the top of White Stairs and somebody inside of Big Kids dorms, you have full control of the situation, even if you're the ones with such a huge deficit as 2 versus 5. But Bosco decided to give up top of White Stairs in order to try and force out a play, and it didn't work out for him. Meanwhile, you had the Valkyrie, who just saw no success over in the roam by Armory. Now, yeah, of course, there's not a lot you can do about those Candelas, but still, that's one whole player who just couldn't influence anything at all other than putting down her cams, hopefully, earlier in the round. So a couple players nullified as well that just didn't manage to get anything done, and Reckless... they had a really good push, a really good split. I really like the pressure that they even managed to keep on those west windows. That was, of course, essential after they eliminated Bosco. Usually you'll see that window be ignored oftentimes in a push like that.
A lot of times you can see, too, a way Oregon can play out depending on the teams that are playing is that the defense will almost always win the basement, but then you'll struggle as a defense, or you'll struggle to take the top floor. But in this case, they've already got a top floor win under their belt on Reckless. So pretty good overall first start, and now ENTRE is going to try to push anybody out that may be playing inside of small tower. It was breezy, but he's nimble and has a 3-speed, is just able to rotate back to site. Gurmy has taken over that west tower, or small tower, depending on how you call it, and now moves in through the hallway outside. A nice meeting hall presence, and they will need to do some appropriate drone work to be able to get him.
You know, it's interesting. There are so many calls for all these various different things inside of Siege. You know, the compass calls are usually not the ones that are referred to. You know, especially at the highest level of play, you'll have each team has their own specific call they like to use. I know when I first moved from North America to Europe, it was very confused because you had a lot of European, you know, playing a Diamond, you had a lot of European pros, and they'll make calls, and it'll be like, what does that mean? Because not only does every team in North America have their own specific calls, but every team, you know, it gets even more diverse when you go from region to region. So, like, the tower you were just referencing could be called Junk Tower, Small Tower, I mean, West Tower. There's so many options.
Right. And then there's terms that I think largely are used just for convenience. So, for example, some of them are a bit longer, you know.
Yeah.
They'll just shorten them down just so it's easier.
There's calls that are named after specific players. Like, for example, K9, who we have in this match. He has, like, 6 different places named after him, like almost, like maybe one on each match or map that is commonly played in Pro League.
Chalet, it's the terrace or the balcony outside.
Yeah, above main lobby.
Above main lobby, it's called K9.
On Canal, when Canal was still inside of Pro League, we played it a lot. And K9 sat on the top of Red Brick, and that was where he sat, and he got a lot of kills. He was very proficient there, but he was always there. So it dubbed the name K9. So in this round, coming off that conversation, we have ENTRE have established a lot of control. You can see they have meeting hall as well as the main lobby. They're going to be mostly focused on an A push and laying down those smokes, and there's been no kills so far.
Fox A is going to be asphyxiated to death. My man, a nice grenade kill onto ZZ, and ENTRE will add to that as now Super joins in on Goddess. It's a slaughter. Breezy comes down, a double kill from Breezy as he eliminates Super and Bosco. And that's going to stop them in their tracks. They have 30 seconds, and after Breezy's good run, he's taken down by K9. A nice shot through that hatch inside of the main lobby. You hear it sounds like the C4 being primed for powerful. Area denial going down as they spray inside of that hole, and just as he pushes out, he hears a flank from Gurmy and can't win that gunfight. Gurmy only takes minor damage and gets away with the kill, and ENTRE answers back. That was quite a play by Breezy, but still better coordination and proficiency from ENTRE.
I mean, it was absolutely ruthless. I have to say, like, that was an amazing attack from ENTRE. They propped themselves up perfectly. Reckless didn't try to hold on to any of their roaming whatsoever. They forfeited meeting hall completely without any loss to either teams. And then in a 5 versus 5, every position was read out from ENTRE. They got the nade kill on the guy inside of laundry closet. They got the fire arrow onto an Ella hiding by the washers. How did they even know? And then the smoke coverage completely denied any C4 smokes or anything being played from the closet window. And then on top of that, even losing 2 players to that Breezy rush, they managed to still win. I mean, it was a beautiful push from ENTRE, an absolutely beautiful, flawless execution. Again, this is the ENTRE we saw yesterday. This is them being extremely on point, and hopefully for them, they're going to be able to continue that trend. They still have, at the least, we still have 2 more maps in this best of 5.
Yeah. So we will see Chalet no matter what. It could potentially be the final map we see, but we said we wanted to go all the way. We wanted to see a tiebreaker.
I'm expecting it too.
I'm expecting a good push too. I'd love to see Border be the finale.
You want Border to be the finale?
Well, Border would be the finale.
It would be the finale with the decider map, yeah.
Yes.
So, I mean, I would love it to be the finale as well. Hopefully it will be. Now, this is a defense of the top floor from ENTRE. They're going to be doing the same thing they did last time. We haven't seen a successful defense yet. These 2 teams seemingly preferring the different bomb sites. And it will be a roam inside of kitchen, inside of tower, and see if it works out for them this time. Now, the reason I don't think it worked out for them the first time is because their roam game was focused on locations that, well, very simply, Reckless just avoided. They went for straight up pushing to master, to closet, to generator, and they didn't manage to get the plants because it just turned into a frag fest, but they managed to get the control necessary to establish a plant. Now, 1 minute already transpired in this round, and nothing eventful happening.
One thing that I want to give credit to is that there are some rounds where ENTRE just apparently like forgets how to drone. So they forget how to drone, and then they just realize in other rounds that they're doing great. And
What?
wow, Foxe gets a kill onto K9 there. It looked like there was ZZ's drone on him.
What?
But that was that's a shot that I think chat's going to be very interested in.
Yeah, I think definitely gonna be interested in that one. That was something. I mean, Gurmy gonna get the refrag onto Foxe, so good job to Gurmy taking that initiative. K9's got to be just scratching his head though right now. Good job, Fox. I guess sometimes we get lucky. Nade going on to the A bomb side as ZZ's going to rush into side of B. Now he has the positional advantage. No mirror window though because K9 got eliminated so early. He's just going to try and hold on to B as long as he possibly can, waiting for his teammates to come with the diffuser. Goddess repelling into Generator, but the angle from the top of White Stair, actually not Generator, rather the Master Balcony, the angle from the top of White Stairs can still deny Generator push though. ZZ's going to need to get that kill onto that player on the top of White. Goddess now looking to open up that wall and go in for a plant. Smokes are coming out. The run out from Super onto Tower is not going to do anything. My man will take out Goddess. That's the planter, but still B control in favor of the attack. Reckless have actually managed to get the diffuser here as well. So despite a disadvantage in terms of man count, they have the positions. From below, Era attempting to deny, but it's not going to happen. Plant will go down in the very depth of the B bomb site. Reckless now, all they need to do is wait. Era starting their retake. They have control over everything that is not its dorms. Smoke's going out. Breezy's going to bite the dust from Bosco at the top of White. He's going to get a double kill into ZZ. An excellent round from Bosco so far in the third. Bosco with a nice retake will get that disable onto the diffuser and establish a round lead for Era. That was Reckless's round, and it just slipped away. You can see a little bit of BM happening there at the end. Very confident in themselves. Era, don't let that get to your heads, guys. That could see you guys losing this best of 5, honestly.
She was crumping.
She was crumping.
Is
that what that was?
That's crumping.
Is that what that's called?
That's
I'm not familiar.
crumping.
Honestly, not familiar. But that was a great retake from Era, and but you really got to put a lot on Reckless there because you had everything going for you, right? You have 3 people inside of 1 room, and all you need to do is hold a couple angles. Unfortunately, it doesn't work for you because everyone's holding the wrong angles. I mean, we saw Bosco holding a long angle into Generator. Nobody was holding White Stairs. Bosco was just waltzing up White Stairs, and nobody's looking at that.
My man was originally on White Stairs, and it looked like it was Goddess who was trying to stop my man from being able to come in, but she lost that fight, and that's really when they only had 3 left. But yes, wow, the Smoke main doing a great job, and not playing Blackbeard, as Blackbeard is really not well suited to Oregon all the time, running a Capitao instead. And Reckless is going to go back downstairs and hope that their luck changes this time around as they now trail Era. And this, of course, being Reckless's map, you don't want to be trailing, period, but especially not on a map that you picked for a specific reason.
Yeah. So a couple of mistakes, unfortunately, on that last round for Breeze, well, not only Breezy, but all of Reckless. And now, basement hold from Reckless. Again, they've already lost 50 HP on Goddess. Looks like she might have been reset. Not entirely sure there, but all the same, low HP. That's not going to be nice. This is going to be, or at least she is going to be able to get all of her utility down. That's the most important. West side clear coming out from Era, and this is old strategy Oregon, but it still works. It's still a go-to. You're going to drone out everything on the west side because there's only 2 floors on the west side, and you don't have to worry about roamers if you get it out of the way early. They're going to be met with a bandit, I want to say, in Breezy, who has just fallen back into meeting hall. He was playing inside a kitchen. As soon as he saw a drone, took the initiative to fall back. That's smart, honestly, against Era. Right now, the way they're playing, you find an Era drone, you run for the hills, and I cannot disagree with that reasoning there for Breezy.
And that was exactly what they did before. Gurmy stormed inside a small tower and did some drone work. Super was helping him out. They were able to find they've cleared it all out and really given up a lot of room now. But of course, it does take time, and take a look. They're still droning. Now Bosco's been able to drone inside of sight. Era can actually get in and get control. And 3 members at the moment of Reckless up top. A man is going to be the first to fall. Down goes the Buck as ZZ gets a headshot onto him. That SMG-11 proving to be too powerful. Smoke gets lead-off kill. You've lost your frag grenades for the Buck as well, which is going to harm you, but it is not incredibly detrimental. They'll manage to get some of the barbed wire at the bottom of White Stairs, and Bosco is going to be a formidable foe at that hatch, as he has the ability to both smoke off as well as asphyxiate, or burn rather, the defenders if they're not careful enough. But look at this, they've completely conceded control of Meeting Hall. They've fallen back to site, as now ENTRE still has well over a minute to make this work, and it appears they will stop most of those ex-Kairos from blowing up the Mira. Super now just behind that laundry room basket can get the plant down. Bosco storms down White Stairs to try and keep him at bay, or keep him all right. Those mines from the Ella will prevent Super, who now will inhale all of that toxic beauty. He tries to stick the landing, pays for it, as a big double kill from Gurmy comes out, and ZZ in powerful fall, and leaves us at 3-3. The diffuser, though, sitting by that washer. Gurmy's going to try for another, this time onto Breezy. He'll throw a flash in hopes of trying to take out that bandit, as the bandit will rotate. Final 30 seconds as we hit the mark. Fox A takes down K9. Gurmy has very little health left. Bosco, though, fully healed. Breezy storms in, and it's just the Capitao on White Stairs to try to contend with 3 members. If there's any player that's going to be able to clutch it out, it could be him. He tries to take out Goddess, but that para is just going to bounce over top of her head. And you can see unhappy with that aim. Final 15 seconds. He does have the diffuser. We'll go through one of those Meeting Hall hatches, but waiting underneath is Breezy, and down goes Bosco.
Here we go. Reckless showing signs of life. Not going to let this one slip away like they did Consulate and their first successful defense. Now, we saw the main reason I think that round was won is because of the Ella Gersmont mines. Perfect throws, denying the plant for so long, and then followed up by gas canisters from Smoke on ZZ. So good job to Reckless to be able to time those perfectly, not allowing the diffuse plant to go down. There was every amount of utility from ENTRE put into that diffuse plant potential, and it just didn't happen.
Yeah, they timed it really, really well. I'm sure it was rhythmic and done deliberately, but you used your Gersmonts to perfectly space out how long you were going to be denying that diffuse, and then the actual smoke too, to finally take Super down. And Super looked like he was a hair away from being able to get that diffuse plant off, but unfortunate timing for him. That left them very vulnerable. While we are all tied up as we head into round number 5.
It's been this is the most even match or map we've seen so far. I mean, Cafe was a little bit back and forth, sure, but this is just trades and trades and trades. And it doesn't ever seem to be that either of the teams are going to be stepping away with a significant, like an absolute outright lead. So I really like that about Oregon. I think we found the run here. This is actually, ultimately, I think this is probably going to be one of the most important maps in this best of 5. I mean, obviously every map's important, but considering how close it's been so far, that means whoever takes away this win is going to be feeling so comfortable going on to the next.
I feel like pivotal is the word that we could use to describe
Perfect.
this, is because that no matter which team wins, they will go to, I guess, championship point, or the championship match rather, because they will be able to knock the other one out.
Qualifying point, really?
Point? I would just say championship.
Championship point.
We'll go with championship point.
I mean, they're going to be the grand victors of the NA region, so.
And what happened there was, or especially, let's talk a little bit about Consulate. Consulate was definitive ENTRE almost every single round, even the round they lost. Cafe was close in the sense that the rounds weren't particularly close. Almost all the rounds on Cafe, I would argue, were very definite.
Yeah.
But they both won similar amounts, and that's why I kept going back and forth.
And then here we have comebacks after comebacks mid-round. I mean, we saw ENTRE get that retake upstairs, but they really shouldn't have been able to get. And then we saw just now Reckless. They lost two men to the flank of Gurmy, but they still managed to deny his ultimate push. So that hammer and anvil strategy that we saw ENTRE employ, I was going to praise them for it, actually didn't work out because there wasn't enough pushing power going into the back end, and they tried to force out the plant just too soon. Or rather, I wouldn't say too soon. They just got countered on that push, and that's the first time I'd have to, honestly, that's the first time I've seen that Reckless is straight up countered ENTRE's play. And that's what we're looking for.
Attackers have located
Now, they looked like they were able to push Gurmy back in Meeting Hall. He's joined by Maman, the Ella up top, and a very similar looking strategy, as a surprising amount of the round is now completely gone. Gurmy with the Nitro Cell, going to try for something, but there's nothing there. They'll flash away. Now, Fox A, if he goes to peek, tries to get a shot onto Maman. They also have opened up the back of rear stage, at the very top so they can have that long sight line from the tower stairs. Regardless, they're still trying to work on Meeting Hall as a joint push happens. You hear the candelas blowing up in the background. Some smoke has gone down, and along with those smokes, some smoke canisters from Bosco answering. Now, they still haven't been able to shake the closet, which is where Bosco is held up. Goddess is going to get around to the washer. As first smoke goes down, Bosco gets a kill on a Breezy. Fox will trade off on Nagurmi, and Goddess has lost a lot of her health. She is disoriented as well as poisoned, and Super gets one on the Powerful. Final 20 seconds.
And 3 versus 4. The attack going to be hard-pressed to win this one. They used most of their utility, and there goes seemingly the last of it as Goddess gets a frag onto Super. That's so essential here, but Bosco with no gas canisters won't be able to deny this plan unless he peeks out. My man's going to get a nice frag onto ZZ in the hallway drop down, but he cannot push out through the hallway. C4 denies the plant, and my man with an excellent headshot onto Foxe. The denial of the plant as well as the excellent retake from Era will put the round count now at, I believe it is 2-3.
That is correct. And what an effort that was. A very, very good hold from them. And it looked like one of the big keys was on the bottom of White Stairs. I think it was the Ying that was still there providing some covering fire, which is what prevented that hallway run. But a nice placed C4, a perfectly placed C4 rather, stopped Goddess's diffuse dead in its tracks. And now Era retakes the lead as Reckless needs to stop trailing and getting and find their footing, because if Arrow does win this round, we go to match point, and that spells trouble.
I really do love the enthusiasm, though, from both teams. I mean, we never see a moment where one of them just kind of gives up. And I'm going to be honest, we see that a lot. It is not an uncommon occurrence at even at this level of play. Even at even higher, I mean, like at every level of play, really, in Siege, it's not an uncommon occurrence that you see, okay, the situation is this. This form of utility has been expended, and they've got the plant, and we can't win. That never isn't happening here. Reckless is always trying to, and Era is always trying tooth and nail to win each round, and that's why we've seen such amazing comebacks as the one we just witnessed, and the one we saw the round prior, and before then. So,
5 seconds to go.
Props to Reckless, props to Era for that.
Now, we see Reckless going downstairs. They're going to do a pretty typical strategy by holding inside of Kitchen, though Super is going to figure it out right away what is going on. I don't know what that was from Gurmy, obviously trying to get the camera, maybe going for a pre-fire, but ZZ roaming up top, or rather, Reckless actually guarding a lot on basement. My apologies, I thought that Reckless had gone downstairs, but instead up on the second floor. It makes sense since they were last successful, it looks like, downstairs.
It was Era who was preferring the top floor. They were the ones who went for that. And it was Reckless who was going downstairs. It was the complete opposite between the two teams, but Era wanted the maneuverability. Reckless seems to be wanting to kind of hunker down. I mean, we talked about how confidence plays into that decision, I think, a lot on Oregon, but sometimes it could just be preference. Now, 1 minute so far in this round, and Era has control over Junk Tower, West Tower, and Small Tower, all 3 of those 1 locations. And Bosco is going to be conscious of the peeking of ZZ, losing a little bit of HP as he drops down from the top of tower. Ash will actually see ZZ, but not going to take that fight. I think Gurmy's aware it's an Ella and is like, maybe trying to use something a little bit, a little cheesy to get the kill instead of fighting that straight up, because it's very dangerous to do that. He's also managed to sneak his way behind a lot of the roamers, but Goddess from above will be ready to watch her teammates' flanks. So good job there. My man, meanwhile, trying to contest this broken window, but all of the roamers in Kitchen have very wisely rotated out of Kitchen because they have lost the Mira and they are going to be safe. So an excellently or perfectly played round, I have to say, on the roam from Reckless so far, and Era struggling.
Doing some great drone work, as we've seen from Era before. A lot of patience on a very aggressive team, and the support players really need a lot of credit here in order to make this happen. Now, K9 and my man are circling, trying to dislodge the B anchors, but they can't find them just yet. And of course, they don't want to give their position away, which is why there's a bit of patience from the man opening this up, but will now decide to go off and take care of it. Now, K9 just keeps feeding clip after clip, or magazine after magazine inside of that mattress, just in case somebody pops up.
He only has like 2 mags left. He's running low on ammo.
Right.
There's only 35 seconds, though.
And they look like they're harassing the Doc of Powerful as he's going to go in and do yet again some softening up of that mattress, and there's nobody there. And look at this, almost completely out of ammo as well on Buck for that skeleton key, or rather, very interesting. Regardless, they are simply running out of time. 15 seconds. They finally get a frag onto Powerful, though Breezy is there to have his team's back. They set up for a trade. Goddess and ZZ get in on that action. K9, with only 6 bullets left, will pull out his Magnum, and he's got 3 to try to go through. Goes for the Mira, but can't land the shots. Gets flanked by Fox, and Reckless does answer back. That's 3-3 as the Bandit sneaks up white stairs, or back stairs, or whichever stairs you want to call it.
White stairs, I think
White
most people tend to
stairs.
call it. I think in
Dorm stairs.
in Siege competitive, generally, especially when it comes to stairs, the calls are just what color is what's the dominant color on the staircase. You know, red stairs on Cafe, they're called red stairs because there's a red carpet. You know, white stairs there, called white stairs because there's white walls. I mean, that's just what it always is on stairs, especially.
But then you have the stairs that have staircase.
Which one?
The one that's in the bar on Cafe.
We're talking
First
about
floor.
Cafe.
Brown
I
stairs.
mean, that one.
I call
no,
it brown stairs.
That one has so many calls. Let me tell you. You got first floor stairs, main lobby stairs, brown stairs, library stairs. I mean, it goes on and on and on. Everyone has their own call for that one. I think it's because it's a position that's not often played, honestly.
Right.
It's a really good position. I remember it being incorporated in a lot of earlier strats on Cafe in Rainbow Six, but these days it just doesn't seem to be a position that gets called out a lot. So everyone has their own call. It hasn't really been whittled down. You know, that's the way it works with calls, is eventually once something becomes super common, all of the smaller calls, they start to give way to the more dominant ones that are used at in Pro League. But
10 seconds to
yeah, I don't know. That specific staircase has a lot of calls. Anyway, we're playing Oregon right now, not Cafe, and it is 3-3. Reckless and Era, toe and toe. Really, like absolutely back and forth. Every time I think Era is going to start to take away a lead, Reckless comes back, and every time I think Reckless is going to start to take away a lead, Era comes back. So it is just never-ending contention here between these teams. Now, it looks like Reckless is going to set themselves up for a push into Master. So this is the same way they tried to fight this 2 times that they've gone here. I think it worked for them once, didn't work for them the other time. So they're going to have to hopefully go for the more positive attack. We'll see what happens for them, though. They do have a Habana, not a Thermite, which means they're going to be able to open the closet from afar, not exposing themselves to any potential C4 from below, though it doesn't look like any defenders are in that position to do so. So not a worry they need to have. Nothing's really happened so far here. Reckless have the control they need. Era not trying to fight it.
ZZ's posted up. This is a very similar strat to last time. They're going to look to try to open up that master bedroom closet wall. And the last of the X-Kairos will go off. Did you see where that first round of X-Kairos went? It might have gone to potentially clear out the ADSs, but I'm not entirely certain. Regardless,
it's probably for ADSs, yeah.
Likely. First smoke goes down. That's going to buy Era some time, but it is very early. Now, some of those smokes can be used for rotates, so you can use a smoke and expend it early if you feel that it's more valuable. But now a second is going to go down, and that's going to deprive Bosco of 2 of his 3. Just 1 left. Final one will go down, and Goddess will breathe in a lot of toxic gas as Breezy goes for the run through, but K9 guns him down, and Bosco manages to take out ZZ as Powerful eliminates Gurmy off screen. Now my man climbs in, and he'll clobber Goddess. Foxay went for the Mira on the window, but K9 persists, and it's all up to Powerful and Foxay as the Mira's trying to do work to repel Foxay, but he can't do it. Bosco decides to do it himself as my man jumps in. He'll take out Powerful, and we move to match point as Era. A flurry of activity, and we've seen this a couple times on Oregon now, where one team just gets going, and you can't really slow them down. Match point, Era.
So, we have seen now 4 defense wins in a row, which means while this is match point, it's not necessarily the end of the map. I think Reckless still has very, very much, and they're not going to have too much of a hard time to come back here. If I'm being honest, it seems to be that defense is heavily favored. Reckless has had a decent time on the basement, so we'll see if that works out for them. Now they did, of course, lose that first defense of the basement, but they managed to win the second one, so hopefully they get the better of the 2. It did work out for Era just now, so yeah, trends continue. Defense favored. Era going to be bringing a Capitao, going for a smoke strat. No Candelas this time on the Ying, instead bringing soft destruction in the Sledge. Got to question that decision, honestly.
Sledge is going to be used, what, primarily for grenades? But, I mean, there's not a...
You can open up the top of the main lobby stairs, top of the bottom of the main lobby stairs, you know, from outside Armory.
Right.
And you can also, I guess it gains you more access to Meeting Hall, but I agree with you. I think Sledge is the wrong call. It might just be my man. Can we see the scoreboard quickly, Marie? Thank you very much, Marie. I appreciate that. So it might just be my man. No, it's not him feeling like he's underperforming. It's not like him feeling he needs to do anything. He's got a good, he's situated well right now. I mean, everyone on both teams, honestly, are putting up a good amount of fight. So maybe preference. I think that's all I can really call there is preference. Maybe they have specific plans for the nades, like you were trying to say. I think that's probably it.
Nading Closet is pretty popular, especially if you use those asphyxiating bolts differently.
They actually did get a kill. The first time they were successful on attacking the bottom floor, I think they did get a kill with the nades from Sledge, as well as Bosco got a kill with this asphyxiating bolt. So I'm guessing they just want that explosion. They really want that power, that frag potential, and the literal frags. But we'll see if it works out for them. Slightly less smokes, and that might be a little bit bad for him. I doubt it, though. In the final push, you only need 2, really, to block out all the vision.
You also have the L85 as well as the SMG-11, which have high fragging potential on both of them.
Yeah, versus Ying's LMG, which is just shoots marshmallows. So now tower control going to be a priority here for Era. As you can see, they are droning out into Meeting Hall. They are going to spot the Jaeger, who is playing on the stage, or near the stage at least, but they're going to take it slow. They're not going to force that out. That's very smart. Now, my man, actually, here you go, using his hammer wisely, going to take attic control and open up the drop down inside of that position, which will afford him line of sight onto Goddess inside of Meeting Hall. She has fallen back. Smart play from Goddess. Not going to let her be taken down in that roam.
Struggling. Bosco having some issues with some aim there.
Yeah, well, honestly, no. I mean, we can't say that about him. He has been absolutely dominant in terms of aim. Missing a camera is not the end of the world, you know. Gurmy has pushed his way, same as last time, into the box hall. So he's in Harry Potter right now, just looking to push into box hall with his teammates, opening up these long angles into B in the last minute of the round.
It's one of my favorite calls in all of Siege, Harry Potter. Yeah, it's the room under the stairs, in case anybody is curious as to why it is called that, and feel free to inject it into your own comms. 45 seconds. Match point in favor of Era, and they've got pretty good control at the moment. A nice C4 goes out on a man as he trades a grenade back, and that will finish off the Mira, and another grenade goes down, and that is definitive. Fox A goes 2, and Reckless right now has to come back. Goddess manages to help by eliminating Gurmy. Bosco, asleep in the smoke, doesn't see it, and gets taken down. Unfortunate that he didn't have that wherewithal to know that his health was depleting. We saw it quite clearly. Unfortunately for him, no real visual indicator. Goddess still on the roam. K9 will take the head off of ZZ. That's a beautiful shot. As you can see, the Valkyrie of Breezy inside of Closet lobs the C4 out. Some pressure. He ends up taking out Goddess. Oh no, his C4, a team kill as Goddess eliminates Super, but K9 is there to close out the round. A nice burst inside of that Closet, and Era will take Reckless's map, and we'll go to Chalet for what could be our final matchup. Great job to Era.
All right, so that was an excellent attack there from Era. Main takeaway is that was the first mix-up we've really seen. Apart from that, on Oregon, it was the same attack strats from both teams over and over and over again. Repeat, repeat, repeat. And instead of doing that on Oregon now, Era was like, okay, well, it's been defense win after defense win. We need to do something different. They went to construction. They even brought a main lobby attack lineup and I expected it to be main lobby attack, but they tried to do something different. Let's take a look at the highlights from that map, of which there were many, while we talk about what ultimately caused Era now to be in winning position with only one more map to go.
It was constant volleys back and forth. We saw this where, like I said, it was one team would get really hot, and look at this. Wow.
Yeah. I mean, Era, for me, it was Era made so few mistakes. so very few. Every time they made a mistake, they lost a round because Reckless was ready there and ready to go and capitalize. But on the Reckless side of things, we saw a couple. I want to say we saw a couple team kills. You know, it was unfortunate, but we did see a few. That last one we just saw from the Valkyrie, that C4 right there. That's gonna get a Goddess on the flank. Breezy effectively lost that round. I mean, okay.
That's C4.
Let's talk about that position. Let's see the orientation of the remaining defenders and attackers. So you had one attacker pushing in through the hallway. You had one attacker planting. You had one attacker forcing out claws onto the Valkyrie. Goddess is coming from meeting hall. The drop down is open. She's just going to want to deny the plant. And she goes to deny the plant. She does deny the plant. And then the C4 from your teammate, you catch it. It was a 2v2 at that point. Valkyrie could have won that fight maybe on a K9 if he hadn't gone for the C4. And the last attacker could have been the one in the hallway, giving us overtime. But it just, a little bit of miscommunication. That's all it took.
From my understanding, my man was still alive, though, too, was he not?
No, there was three
3v2.
attackers, 2 defenders. It was Goddess coming from the main lobby, or the drop down inside a meeting hall. She denied the plant. C4 from Breezy killed her, and then it would if Breezy hadn't C4'd, he might have been able to win the fight against K9 because he was pushing way too aggressively, and then it would have been the last attacker in 2 versus 1, last attacker in the hallway. There's no
Goddess
way.
had the diffuse down. So, yeah,
Yeah.
very unfortunate timing. Regardless, we are going to go to a very brief break, as we would typically do after a matchup, but because these are rather unusual circumstances, we will go to a very short break. So we'll see you in just a couple minutes. Sit tight, go stretch your legs, grab something to drink or food regardless.
Well, actually, we won't see you in a couple minutes. It'll be Milos and Emzo, I believe, are going to be taking
for sure
up.
switching.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a switch.
Okay.
So we're going to be Milos and Emzo are going to take up the best of 5 because, again, first best of 5, I think in ESL, Rainbow Six at least. So we'll see you guys. Thank you so much for watching, and this match will continue on. It's not over yet in just a bit.
See you soon.
right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to our matchup. I'm Thematic, and with me is Emzo. We have had a quick change of casters. Of course, our best buddies, Parker and Michael, are on the sidelines. Just for now, it's getting a bit late, and 5 maps can be extremely tiring. So we're in here just to fill things out. Tiring for not only casters, but very much for players. So they are taking their own break, and they are getting ready to go in just a bit. And there we go. I believe we are ready to go. There we go.
Well, that was quick.
Let's head into it.
We like to see. Everyone wants to see the match. Let's do it.
Here we go. Map 4, Chalet. Let's get into the game.
So close.
And we're in operator selection.
There we go.
Yes, thank you very much. All right, so Emzo, so far, what has happened? Let's get people back into the show here.
Yeah, so quick recap. So we had Cafe clearly dominated towards the end there by Reckless, although good comeback attempts from Eris. 6-4 in the end of that, so overtime totally in Reckless's favor. However, Consulate 5-1 for Era, a big gap versus the 6-4, and then 5-3 on Oregon. Not as big a gap. They might be getting a little tired, or maybe Oregon's also one that we see Reckless do a little bit better on, but Cafe was definitely Reckless's map. So I guess the big question now is, who is Chalet's map? We did see some Chalet last night, so we know that Reckless can play it because they did win it last night, right? So it's a question of whether or not against this team here, against Era, they could do it. Now, if I remember correctly in the ladder matches too, and this may have already been mentioned earlier, I believe Reckless did beat Era somewhat. So this might be,
yeah, they did play during the ladder matches, and this was explained by
yeah.
They played a couple times, and both times were won by Era. Now, so far, it has been fairly close, except for Consulate, of course. But going into Chalet, I think this is the map that really will offer up a lot of opportunities for Reckless if they're able to play that roam game like we have before. I think ZZ shining again on that Ella.
Yeah.
Since he hasn't really shown himself too much.
We saw him show himself on this map last night, for sure. Powerful, though, hearing that and going, I want to be included, too.
I want a piece of the cake as well.
Yeah.
Takes out Gurmy early on, so no more Ash to play around.
That's the entry fragger down. Now, we see Fox playing that mute we were talking about quite a bit last night as well. He did get tagged a little bit trying to put the jammer down before he could get it down, but did manage to get away from that. And K9 does have another shock drone left. Going to use it on Fox again, just trying to tilt him if nothing else. Good start for K9 at least, and he's going to go off his famous spot and go into offices instead.
All right, going to head right on in. On the opposing side, we see Bosco just joining in, playing the Zofia. Just watching through, making sure nobody's rotating in from kitchen. This is again a wine cellar defense.
I'm curious to see how he plays it too, because so far Bosco has been kind of the standout player from Era. So I expect big things from him, as we haven't seen a lot of great Zofia play over maybe the past day or two, but I expect it now.
Now, the interesting bit is that they're only bringing one hard destruction.
Yeah,
operator,
depending on the
only
Habana.
the Habana, basically. So usually here you would have Habana and the Thermite try to bash through.
I haven't seen a lot of these teams caring about the garages, though, or at least on this map. I mean, obviously Consulate's a different story, so I just think they don't care too much. But if they lose that Habana, that's a big problem then. So Bosco playing very cautious here.
Very good watching the backside here. 2 players on the defense from
Reckless. Not gonna be good.
Pushing through, killing one, going in for the second, but ZZ will be able to shut him out and get the refrag taken down Zofia. So the Jaeger traded out with the Ash and the Zofia down for Era. As we are starting the work on the reinforced walls here, the Claymore's already been set down on the outside just in case of a run out.
Our man's already in a good position, too. This is pretty good, but defenders still have the man advantage. They're just not pressing it yet.
Yes, and they got themselves in the better positions, but they still need to buck the floors. But what they're trying to do is basically force Reckless into looking at the entrance of that wine cellar, and then giving the Buck the opportunity that he needs after forcing the defenders out of the normal position.
We saw some great play from that from ZZ last night as well. So I imagine on an attack for this round, he'll do that as well. Fox setting up that deployable shield, really paying off there.
Very odd there is Goddess going to be able to get one. Even Breezy refragging with the ITS, leaving only one alive. K9 with barely any HP. The Ella from the side trying to peek in, but he's got 2 players to deal with. and those are the Mira and the Ella, and trust me, that rate of fire would absolutely shred anything.
Had he been able to catch Breezy, might have been able to make that work because it would have been down to 1v1, although he still would have been a low health. Breezy was just a few breezes away himself from death. But yeah, against the Ella pushing down there, that was a difficult battle to win because he was pinched in sort of an L shape there. I mean, this is just the starting round, though, but it is looking like Reckless off to a better start on this particular map. Like I said, we saw some strong play from them on this map last night, so we know they can definitely do it. It's just a question now of whether or not they could do it against Era. And I believe it was a 5-2 that Reckless won with last night, so it definitely seems like their map. However, with the way this is going in a best of 5, even if Reckless win this map, we still get one more to decide who's going to go forward. So it's either ends now with Era winning, or it goes to map 5, which is something we have yet to see outside of Latin America here for Pro League gameplay. So that's going to be very exciting. Even making it to map 4 here is a big deal, I think, because it's not something we ever see. And like you said, these players have got to be a little tired, but now's not the time to show it, because if Era can close it out, then they know, well, I don't have to play a map 5. I can rest finally. So hopefully they're going to be on their best behavior to try and make that happen.
This is where the stress and the nervousness start to act as well as your tiredness. So this is a preparation for a possible future, maybe, where you have more tournaments, more things to deal with in your mind. This is, you're sitting down, you're not just playing the game, you're playing for all the marbles here. You want to make it to the Invitational, but you need only one more map.
Now they're going for this garage defense again, something they did, something I guess the other team did quite a bit last night as well. Actually, both teams, if I recall correctly, were big on the car garage defense. So it seems to be kind of a trend now between all of those teams. However, I imagine Reckless is going to be prepared for it since they do it.
So they're going to be droning in, just making sure, okay, now
they know now.
There we go. They know exactly that there's at least one player in here. There usually are two, each one of them holding a different angle. You see the defenders just opening a bit of fire and then falling back.
It's
taking
2
a bit
3
of damage
speeds too, so this is like something where they can really work that, but you don't see them setting up their crossfires. They're a little too bunched up at the moment, and they managed to get out just in time, though, and not get shot in the back, and that was probably the more important part. Now you see them kind of spreading out. They really need to play their speed and positioning advantage to actually get some kills out of that, or they just kind of wasted a little bit of both teams' time.
Well, but it very much is about wasting as much time as possible from the attacking side here of Reckless, and as well, just forcing them to use utility in positions that you probably shouldn't be.
Yeah.
Back to because they only have one hard destruction in this position. But
Classic
see the buck from
play
below.
here.
There you go. Opening up the side, but won't be able to find anybody just yet. The entirety.
Yeah, K9's used to that. I don't think he's going to be caught too off guard by it, but now he's starting to get pinched from both floors. Pressure is on from all the way over to the window as well. He's got to kind of dodge around, but he doesn't successfully do it.
Goddess gets
nice
kill number
reply,
1, but Gurmy with the C4 taking her out. So, no more Doc on the Era side, which, except for the Ella, reminds me a lot of around a year ago, basically.
Yeah. K9 definitely likes his Rook and Doc. My man, though, going outside for a second, not finding anyone, was probably worth it, especially if he didn't really get spotted too much.
Oh, here we go, right to the face, taking down Gurmy. No more pulse as well. Did not see that coming, that's for sure. And Powerful just going in for the plant. He's got, 3 more players to help him out, but he will get taken down right before the diffuser gets done. And that's 2 kills. Foxday will be able to refrag, bring it back to a 2v2, and now a 2v1. Only Super left alive on the Ella. Not impossible. Obviously, Ella with a 50-round mag.
At least he knows where they're headed, though.
Exactly, and now he knows that they're going to be going for this. There's Foxday defending him from below, and the Claymore perfectly placed from Goddess will take him out.
Unfortunate for him, I just think he couldn't see it all that well because of the bushes, and that really worked out because that was close. He didn't necessarily have to approach it from that direction, but unfortunate for him just going in that last second. Nice clutch attempt, though, staying alive. I guess the early placement attempt, while initially failed, they lost their diffuser placement. However, it still gave plenty of time left to recover it, and it was a situation where Super couldn't just burn time on him at that point because a whole minute is a lot to play. And I was surprised at how fast they got control of that room. Once they took out K9, they kind of pushed him out to a position where he was exposed, took him out, then just took that room quickly. And you saw the rest of the team was too far because they had 2 roamers. They had my man and Super. Once my man was down, it was just a hard pick back up. I mean, Roscoe managed to come back and save it, and that was good. But I think maybe they just weren't ready to retake as fast as they needed to.
I think they were just able to push Era back. They kind of forced them into 1v1 fights. And that was something that ERA was not prepared for.
No.
At the end.
I mean, it was good team play by them, managing to coordinate to get those plays where they pushed Doc out with the Buck.
Now, this is an extremely interesting setup with the way that they have the extra wall and the fortified wall next to it. So, what is the real point of having this sort of defense in this exact position, especially with the ADF to this?
I mean, a lot of times you open up that wall to have line of sight from the dining room through the kitchen, and that gives you a way to be able to fight that without standing exposed to the kitchen window. But opening that up completely it gives you a position to move through it much faster, because when you vault over the display case, you want to be able to quickly rotate through that. If you get caught on stuff, that's a situation where you're likely to get fragged from either the trophy window or the kitchen window. So that quick play is good, and then having that reinforced wall means anyone who gets into trophy can't tag you if you're trying to evacuate that. You're still exposed to kitchen window, but that's a riskier play sometimes to make because you have to stand in one specific spot kind of to be able to see in there.
It's all about the line of sight game in here.
Absolutely, and they're playing it. I mean, there's less defenders with ACOGs now, though, so it is a little bit less line of sight than you're going to see previously. You're not going to see Jaeger or Bandit, for example, playing that as often, but it's not too far. And Bosco, with an early start again with that Zofia, making a good initial kill onto the Ella. That's a good start for them.
You rely on that Ella, basically, especially having Fox on the pulse. It means that Fox is going to be looking around for information and then having the Ella moving around to get the kills or get ourselves in better position.
Yeah, now he has to fight for himself a lot more, and you see him having to do that now as they're trying to push him out.
They know exactly where he is here. Bosco trying to go for the 1v1. Won't be going in for the flash, but is able to win it and take him out. No more Pulse, no more Ella. All that's left are basically your 3 anchors now on the site. Leaving the Mira, the Jaeger, and the Smoke alive for Reckless. It's Bosco going all the way back around to the Great Room.
They're definitely getting good map control here now that they have the man advantage by 2 men up, and then it's 2 important people dead because that's the Intel and the Roamer down. So the last 3 people are all pretty much going to have to play kind of site defense, although they're not necessarily yet. They might go for a little bit of retake, but that didn't work out great for ERA last round. So they've got to be careful here and time it just right, otherwise they're going to just get in the crossfire of the man advantage.
Alright, Bosco opening up the top side here. Still has a single charge to use on the lifeline. He spots the Mira wall. He knows the setup that's happening below, but now they have to watch out because the smoke is going to get thrown out in just a sec. Here we go. Grenade perfectly protecting him, at least for just a bit, but no, won't work out at all at this point. Goes in right through, takes down the 45 wall, and now Super will get the kill on Goddess. Right outside, 5 versus 2, and Reckless very much falling apart, but still holding down the angles close to A site.
They're definitely getting a little desperate in their shots. You see them trying to open up lines of sight for themselves because they're both pinned into a room where everyone knows where they're at this point.
There he goes. Ooh, no, that does not work out too well at all. Has to go in and grab onto the smoke, but in the meantime, Bosco will take down 1, goes in for the 2nd. Low on ammo, but will get cleaned up by the Bearing 9 when the Hibana and Super will clean up the round. That was a fantastic round from ERA. Really dismantling Reckless.
I think it was maybe a 3K too for Bosco. He was definitely using the gun. We didn't see a lot of utility out of the actual operator, but he sure knows how to use that rifle.
He basically used all the utility after he got the first 2 kills on the Ella and the Pulse, first of all, in the basement. And once that was done, moved all the way up top, and then used all of the utility that he had to just open up the floorboards and make sure that the defenders have to fall away so they don't get tagged by him. Yeah. So that line of sight play, you're thinking about, oh, the windows, but no, they can still come in from above. So I think they focused too much on having operators to just stick on the site itself or very close to it, and having only the Ella without the support of the Pulse early on taken down by Bosco. It just does not work out at all.
And speaking of which, in terms of playing the site and things like that, now that they're having a second chance at this site, they're not going to go with that double roams, at least not the double roam with the Bandit. My man switching it to Vigil this time. We did see some interesting Vigil play from Reckless last night on this site, trying to play around there to be able to kind of figure out. No, I think it was actually from the vertical side. I don't remember, but there was definitely some Vigil play on this particular bomb site, trying to play it so they didn't know which floor he was on, kind of confusing them on that garage attack, which they are also reinforcing again. So this will give them a good chance to try and fake them out like we saw before. But they're probably going to play a little closer to site this time. K9 going to be known to probably play in that site room as he is right now, but he might play a little more out in the hallway this time, give himself a little more clearance from that buck. However, hopefully they can hold downstairs longer and hold off that buck. If they can, that gives K9 a lot more freedom to stay up there. And the Vigil is going to at least delay them in that process. Now they're seeing that top of the slat that he opens up every time in that room there. Not sure if that's where he can kind of stand up and get a line of sight, or what he's trying to do with that. Could be for sound as well, but he looks like he tries to get it so straight, makes me think he's using it as actual line of sight.
You can have it for sound because of the way sound now works.
Yeah.
Plus, you can just go for a quick tap, and it gives you extra bit of line of sight because it breaks down pretty much the top half of the entire window.
Yep.
So that's even more space to work around with. So every single inch works out pretty well for you, since you have to look so low down. But
my man's really no, he's not just dodging the drones with his ability. He's actually actively killing them all too and burning up.
And he's running the shoddy as well. So.
Yeah. I think he's doing an effective job. I think it was a good switch. I mean, whether he'll get any kills off this, I don't know. Drones probably caught him there, so he's going to have to rotate around. But now he's got Super to back him up. But this is what we saw them do last time, and it didn't work out because they weren't able to get back to sight successfully and defend it. So hopefully they play a little smarter this time. K9, that's going to help getting his own kill.
Great shot here, taken down. Powerful. So no more Blackbeard to be played on Reckless. The player that you want to be watching from the window is now eliminated, and that'll probably turn around to the Ying. As Breezy's still droning in, trying to get himself in a better
position. He could come in from West Lobby over here instead of trying to approach from the window now, though.
Good point, actually. It's rarely used, to be honest, but
yeah.
You kind of want to have the Ying on that outside window because you can throw in the Candelas, and that's really the strongest part, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, they have the ability if they wanted to push West Lobby. For example, they have a Habana left alive that could open up that wall if they really got desperate in there and managed to get K9 out, but that's difficult to do.
Oh, here we go. My man is ready for it. This is exactly why he was coming in here.
Oh,
he
no.
wants the 1v1 and take down the Buck before he can do too much damage.
So close.
But he's going to be the one traded off with just a bit
that
of
pre-fire.
HP.
You know, it's still burning time, though. I give him credit for at least getting away. It was unfortunate that the pre-fire was too early because he could have had a really easy kill potentially on Buck. But nonetheless, he's still burning their time. They still got to be scared. They don't have upstairs control anymore now that he's denied that to them.
And he's even switching in for the shotgun, so there we go. Going for the SMG. Has spotted one in the back, but he knows that there's both players ready for him.
My man.
This is not working out. The Ying is even going to jump out and now take control of the window, though. Gurmi will take down Goddess. That's her on the floor, and Pulse will get shot down. My man gets one, and Bosco will get the second. Goddess with the kill on Bosco from the grave on the Claymore. Now 3v1 as Foxe is left alive on that Zofia. Now all the way below.
No diffuser on hand either.
And it's just going to get washed here. Going in for the shot, even with the shotgun. Still one more ready in, but it's going to get finished off by the Dog Revolver, and K9 will end this one out. So Ira, I have to say, even with the way that the round started off,
yeah, that 2 rounds in a row for Reckless,
they were still able to. I think Reckless tried to push Vigil a bit too hard on them, and
well, they were kind of used to what they got away with the first time, right? And it worked because they were able to get K9 out, and that was really kind of what snowballed the match, right? Because they were able to get control of Trophy Room. That's what led them to planting a whole minute early, practically. And that was just a big advantage for them, especially once they were able to contest their gunfights after that, despite losing the diffuser plant. That round, however, the Vigil especially was doing a great job just denying the map control. I mean, he whipped a lot of shots and pre-fires, and like in terms of kills, not effective. In terms of denying time, denying positioning,
they were always afraid of the Vigil.
Yeah, and that's what
from
that's
moment
really
one
what
in the garage all the way to the top side in the main bedroom.
And you don't know which floor he's on at that point, especially because of the distortion. So well played by my man. Didn't get enough kills there. I would have liked to see that kill there onto the Ying work out, or the kill onto the Buck before that, but nonetheless, that was a great round for them. Bringing it back now to a tie, 2-2. Era had a great comeback attempt on the first map, but we did see that eventually fizzle out, so there's still a chance this could definitely be Reckless taking the lead on this one. But again, even if they do take the lead and win this map, we still have another chance for Era to bring it back on the next map, which who knows whose map Border is. It's pretty much everyone's map at this point.
Yeah, pretty much.
I mean,
that in Oregon.
Although to be fair, that's what Kix was saying about Consulate. We saw how that went 5-1, so you never know. Breezy with his placement there. I wonder if he's going for
here we go.
Bosco getting a little angry. Early kill onto the mute. That's actually a great play because that mute was kind of a pain for them last time.
That shot just went immediately through. I'm not sure it was the mute trying to do something tricky into the spawn to get a spawn kill, but honestly, this does not work out too well for them. But
yeah, it feels bad for Fox though, because I imagine he was probably getting a little greedy and got punished for it.
And now you just hear that DMR rocking through. He spots one player below, but Gurmy smart enough to not open fire and really reveal himself a bit too early. K9 will get one more. LS down. You basically just took down the two players. One of them is going to be in and around the site.
You still have 2 3-speeds though, so you still have some ability to use these staircases because you have the Jaeger and the Bandit. Now, obviously, Breezy though should be probably playing site because you need an anchor left there because there's still so much map control that they could get with a man advantage like that, and they are taking control now from Wine Cellar, not really pushing from the other sides, and now the Mira's actually getting an advantage and knowing that that's where the push is coming from.
Even getting aggressive here, Breezy on the Mira.
Lost his sight though. These are the Thatcher.
And Bosco just moving in the bulldozer now with the Blackbeard, but Powerful will get one and finally take down the sledge. You usually want to have that sledge at least watching your back, and now it's all up to Gurmy. The Ash just all the way up top. Is Powerful drops back down to his teammates. That was almost a couple team shots.
It's gonna get chaotic here in a second. That's for sure.
All right, second flash is gonna get thrown in.
Oh, he used that to get
across. All the way around. Yeah, there we go. Even Bosco falling into the Ella trap all the way up top by Kitchen.
I like how he's trying to position that to clear that Mira window, and Habana's also going to be doing that here. However, we could see them try and deny that, but Bandit is gone, and that's what they needed to do to now get the accessibility and line of sights from that car garage.
Yeah, Bosco watching for rotations.
2 in there.
And they spot them both. He goes in, fires at one, and knows that the second is still inside, has not rotated out of here. Can definitely hear the Mira still.
Trapped in there like a rat, but still got a window to be able to use. Having that window to fall back on, assuming they can't get it open.
Oh,
there we go.
So as you say that, K9 from above will get the kill, leaving it all up to Powerful versus 4. But he's going to get shot down by K9, and a well done round. That
was at least a 3K from him. He's definitely a great Thatcher, and always has been. I mean, he's always been kind of the Thatcher and Rook main, and I've talked about that before. And he's that stalwart player of like, these are my mains, I'm good at them, and that's what he was for. Like, I mean, that's admittedly what going back to Orbit and all the other teams would tell me. You know, like, he's the Rock, we'll put him on this, he'll do his job, and that's why you have K9 spot on this map, because he's reliable like that. But a 3K was definitely an impressive performance from him that round, and it really helped open things up because everyone who thought they had a secure position somehow getting flanked by K9.
Just a tiny tangent before we go in. I don't know if anybody clipped at the end of the round there with the replay, but I don't know if you saw the skating Habana.
Skating.
But that was absolutely hilarious. Anywho's, back in here. Era definitely showing that they are in control so far.
Well, 3 rounds in a row is a good way to do that.
Yes, that is true. It started off pretty well for Reckless. Not the case no more, and this is the change, the Valkyrie.
We haven't seen them defend this site either, though. That's why they're changing up the operators, I imagine. But that's the thing, is we saw them lose the top site, the trophy site, the first time, managed to come back around, figure it out, win it. But we don't know how well they can defend this one, and this could be the chance for Reckless to get a little bit of a comeback, because obviously this is not the preference site, right? Otherwise they would have most likely started here. So the question is, will Reckless be prepared for how they're going to defend it? Like you said, with that having the Valkyrie, for example, which we've actually seen a lot less of. But again, as mentioned earlier, not necessarily due to Dokkaebi, because that hasn't been a big pick. At least we did see it earlier, but yeah, at least at NA has been, while EU been a little more experimental on that, which is usually the other way around. We usually see a lot more experimentation from NA. Nonetheless, this should be an interesting match.
What I want to see is, where do you set up the Valkyrie and the Jaeger in this position? Because most likely the Bandit is going to try to Bandit trick the garage, just in case there's an attack through there.
We see a lot of good combination on this map of inside and outside ones, because the outside ones have very obvious utility, but the inside ones is where you get creative, because we talked about before, you have the vaulted ceilings and things like that, where those become very useful because you have a big open space. Fireplace is a great example. When that camera's lost, having the ability to deny them the ability to sit in Fireplace, because we saw Fireplace, especially when ZZ's in there on that buck, is a big deal. So if they're smart, they're going to get a backup camera in Fireplace so they can rotate up through one of the mini stairs, maybe all the way to the top, shoot him from above. But letting him sit in there is a big mistake. So I think that was a good choice by my man if he placed the camera there, which unfortunately we don't know for sure or not.
All right, well, he has taken control of the kitchen. He's going to be droning around. Just has not cleared those 2 roamers just yet from here on the defense. So Goddess now moving in. She still needs the Thatcher to help her out, though. There we go, coming around. EMP is going to get thrown in. She is the only hard destructor on the team, so we'll be using all the pellets, basically just opening up one slide.
Yeah, just enough for Blackbeard to peek
Exactly. So that is the perfect position for the Blackbeard. Can use that shield. perfectly in this kind of
I like how
spot.
Fox is holding for their flank as well, trying to hang out and dining.
There we go.
Ooh.
Powerful gets kill number 1.
That's the
that's
smoke.
the smoke, yes.
Yep.
Right before the smoke starts to get exponentially stronger.
Not to mention, there goes Powerful opening up that window now, so they have a lot more control of that wine cellar entrance. However, this they could get flanked up here if they stop paying attention, but the way that ZZ's being backed up by Fox, I think will make it very hard for flank to happen.
There we go. Second EMP is going to get thrown in. Goes in for the reload, and this is a perfect spot. 2 kills, though, coming in a row. Fox, A, and ZZ will get shot down. No more Buck and Ash, leaving the Blackbeard in a perfect spot, though, in the hallway in the basement.
Sacrifices for the plant.
And it is a totally worth sacrifice here. Goddess, though, will get one more super. Will get shot down, but a refrag quickly from my man on a Breezy. It's going to shatter here. Shield of the Blackbeards goes in for the Deagle. Will get taken down. Malman with one more, and then takes down Powerful. Reckless shut down in the round, even though they have the perfect spot to look through, and my man will save it out. Here we go, 4-3, one more round away from winning it out.
I feel like Air really knew when to unleash the beast in that round, because I was talking about Fox covering for ZZ up there, and that should have been a perfect situation where if I mean, I don't know what, because we didn't see what happened, but if Fox were doing his job properly to cover ZZ, that shouldn't have happened. I mean, maybe they got pushed by 2 people or crossfired. Again, we didn't see exactly what happened, but nonetheless, that's what happened there. Once those 2 were down, that's where it collapsed. Yeah, they got the plant down and they sacrificed for the plant, but after that, they just had so little manpower left. However, I want to give credit, though, to Reckless. They have been making so many early round plants. Same with last night. They've actually been very good at getting in and getting the plant earlier than a lot of teams we see. So that is a good strength they have. Holding the plant has not been their strength. So I feel like they're a team that even if they lose this, if they go back and work on that and they're able to figure out how to hold their plants better, that's a really promising thing for them as a team. But you've got to be able to pull it off. As we saw, you know, they did manage to do it some of the time, and it worked out some of the time. So I'll give them that.
The only problem is that I'm not really able to wrap my head around how the Blackbeard was not even more effective in the position that he was. Now, there's two lines to the loss in the previous round. First of all, we had nobody defending the flanks, which is extremely odd.
Well, I mean, it was Bandit getting his shield off, and that was due to the, like, you have to consider, yeah, Blackbeard has a shield on his face, but you have to be really on top of your game to fire fast enough, because when you're facing a doorway like you saw there, if Bandit's crossing fast and he's a 3-speed, he can spray because he knows he's spraying at a very tiny spot. Blackbeard's having to trace him across, and you know how it is in movies where you're just shooting right behind the person? That's what happens a lot. Blackbeard is hard to get that speed to tap people fast. So you've got to be, like, really flick, and when you're not, you see exactly what happens. That's because he was in a disadvantaged situation in terms of Bandit knowing exactly where he's at and him not being fast enough on it. We'll see if Bosco can be fast enough, though, because we've seen a lot of Blackbeard today.
All right, well, Gurmy is going to be droning in here by the library. Just opening up a tiny bit on the windows. There isn't really anybody to contest him as we see a rotation back from the Ella.
Drone placement as well. And I don't think we mentioned
Here we
it's match
go,
point now.
nade though, my man.
Oh, there we go.
Kill number 1 for him, taking down Foxay.
Buck.
Great start for Ira.
Yeah, that's a lot of potential intel down if he didn't use all those cameras. There are a lot of Valkyrie players that will not throw them all out right away because they want to get some positioned later. But hopefully he got them all out because otherwise not so useful. But that's a C4 down, and that's usually important. So my man actually playing it very patient. Usually you see a lot of bucking the floor, getting very aggressive. He's actually hoping to bait them out, making them think they're comfortable. Buck's not here anymore. I'll go stand there.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah.
Just as you say that, starts bucking the floor.
I think he knew that he was right there and took advantage of it.
Just wants to push his opponents away for just a sec for his teammates to get in a better position before they're able to push onto the site.
Unfortunately for him, he doesn't know about the ADS right there because that's going to make it hard for him to try and chuck any grenades up, although he could cook them and throw them at the floor instead.
It is very difficult to do that.
We've seen what happens
yes.
when Canadian tries many seasons ago.
Ooh, here we go. C4, well, the Claymore is going to be the last line of defense here. ZZ is going to be forced back on the Ella all the way down to the wine cellars. My man continues his rampage on the wooden floorboards here.
Again, this is match point, though, and there is man advantage already to Era. 57 seconds left, but that's still enough time now that smokes are already going out. And that kill on ZZ is really going to tip this in their favor, and this could be the end of this map, as well as the end of Reckless's attempts.
Oh, and even a drop! Oh my god. What a terrible spot to be in. The Jaeger even dropped on the floor, but he will get rezzed up by his best buddy. Powerful on the dock, going in for the 1v1. Powerful will get shot down by Goddess.
Located a bomb.
This is K9 with one more, taking him out. Breezy, last man alive.
This is his
on
last
the
30
smoke.
seconds potentially in this entire season here.
But no more gas nades. Here we go. And it's Era Super. We'll save the round for them. And Era, ladies and gentlemen, 3-1 will make it to the Invitational. And that'll be the representative through the qualifiers and the playoffs from NA.
You know, just looking at the score lines, though, they definitely deserve the win. They did not let Reckless, after map number 1, ever even get to 4 again. We have 5-1, 5-3, 5-2. They definitely were on top of it, despite, yeah, they lost the first 2 rounds in a row of this map. Really took a second to get their groove, but you could see them just closing it out hard and fast towards the end. K9 up there, my man up there, Bosco. No one carrying this round. They're all kind of bringing their weight, but it seems like that was a map that favored them to be able to do that a lot more. And I feel like we saw some good flexibility from both teams, but especially from Era in terms of making all those changes they need to do. Hey, we lost the site. We'll change up how we're playing it. We win it. We win the next site, and it just that's why we got 5-2.
It was interesting as well seeing a very successful Vigil play. Just the way that it was able to delay.
And we saw a little bit of that last night as well for the same reason, I think. And we're starting to see some, okay, maybe this is an area where this can work, and hopefully teams will take that towards invitationals.
All right, well, let's look at the highlights from the game just to see where it really got spicy.
It's spicy, it did. So spicy, we can't show you it.
Yes, it's so
Prohibited.
spicy, it has burned our PCs.
Unfortunate.
But honestly, there we go. Here we go. So Bosco going in. That was one of the flanks where it was actually defended by the Jaeger and the Ella in the back. And this is what you
watching ZZ. Unfortunate. The Dangler. The Claymores were definitely effective on this map, I have to say, and that is one that is always useful because you never know when people are going to try that rotation, because this is an effective rotation.
Yeah, either jump from outside or from the top side, or jump from the trophy window itself.
We saw a lot of contesting over that window. K9, you know, maybe not being able to hold it that first time, but really picked it up after that and became a stalwart. Bosco really went ham that round with that Blackbeard.
Bosco, in my mind, Bosco so far is the MVP of this entire match. He has played super consistent on every single one of these.
You got to keep in mind too, Bosco's not a new face. He is the one who ended up subbing for Geo, I think maybe twice for Elevate. So he was the man to step in and say, like, it's fine, I can take Geo's place. And we see Geo move on since then. In fact, I believe Geo was on this team at one point, if I recall correctly, when it was Excellence. If I'm remembering right.
Not too long ago.
Yeah, not too long ago, back when most of this team was, I guess, 3 out of 5 different.
All right. So. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to wrap things up. Thank you very much for watching a experimental best of 5, basically, here for NA.
We've got 2 more this week.
Yeah, we've got 2 more. We still have EU and, of course, Latin America coming around. So now we're done with NA. Congratulations to Era, and, you know, commiserations to Reckless, but they played extremely well so far throughout the bracket. Tomorrow, though, we start off Latin America with the 2 semifinals, and then the day after that, we've got the final to see who represents Latin America.
So much to come in this super week of
this is Super Week.
Yeah.
Rainbow Six every single day. Best week ever. But thank you very much for watching from Emzo, from myself, from Kix, and from Intero, and the entire production team. Good night and goodbye.